He done revoked your privileges.
Zoom trying to keep up, add more features.
Y'all
no
niggas need to
Teddy
learn
Riley.
how to be on time.
No more Teddy Riley for you.
Y'all need to learn how to start on time.
Black, what you doing, man?
Yes,
3,
sir,
2, 1.
Derek, I was on time today, Derek.
You were.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the acknowledgement.
Hey man, my feet is killing me.
Hey,
Just
Al,
wanted to put that
For
out
that
there.
walk this morning.
hey, Al, you back in the hot spot again?
Yeah. What hot spot? Wait a minute. What you talking about?
Talking to the police
by the window.
You're always in the room with the window with the sirens and the.
Oh man, my whole house is windows. My whole side of my walls. All my walls are windows.
They got Benning Road locked down again tonight?
Nah, not tonight, but yesterday they did.
Or not yet.
Not yet. You know, it was about 200 cars, man. It was crazy.
We was protesting out here in Bowie. It was like three of us. About 3 of us. Y'all ain't see us down Mitchellville Plaza? Couple signs.
Okay.
Black, what you doing, man? You frozen? What's going on?
Yeah, I did that walk, Glenn, man. That John was a monster.
Yeah. We took the kids for a bike ride. I'm not saying, the kids, but it's like 5 miles. That's one you need to start off with that. Come over to the house and do that one a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah, but that hill coming back on MGM Grand, good God Almighty.
Hey, man, I walked it yesterday, man.
Oh, after the bike ride?
Yeah, man.
You a soldier.
Sean. Walked across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge.
Why y'all never invite everybody to the bike ride? Just certain people.
You got a bike?
You could have got my invite a couple weeks ago.
Some people don't respond.
Slim knew I
So
didn't.
would y'all clown me because I got an electric bike? Would y'all clown me if I do part of it electric and part pedaling?
Yeah.
Nah, hell no.
Yeah, I am gonna clown you.
I needed it Tuesday. I needed the electric part Tuesday.
I might, cause y'all go up about 15 miles.
Yeah.
Oh, my jump might last the whole. My electric jump lasts the whole 15. Keith.
Dave, your man was riding the other day, man. This joke broke down on him and shit, man. That nigga Jamal was riding and his bike broke down. Lil Jamal had to come get him.
Because he was on a tricycle.
He got a flat?
No, he went
the
out there on
pedals
a
broke off.
tricycle.
The pedals broke. But nah, Dave, everybody was gone. The only person back there with him was me.
Glenn come back and save everybody. Slim, you good? No man left behind.
No man left behind. That's right.
I was in my own world. I just see them sitting on the bridge like, uh-oh, what happened? 10 hours later.
Hey, we on Facebook now.
Okay.
All right, and go ahead and take it back. So you know how to do it. Go ahead and take it back.
Teddy Riley, we're gonna need you to be on time next time, Craig. I get to talk shit today.
You're on time one time in your life, sir. You don't get to talk. All right.
Anthony, you got the controls back.
No, I don't need it for us to get started.
It's already on. We live now.
It's already on live.
I need you to change
Oh,
my
you
name.
need to change the name.
Keith, you don't see my hand sitting there trying to figure it out on the screen? I'm like,
I see.
I'm gonna change this.
It just say Lamont Sanford.
Hey, Dave, the 3 dots, hit that, and the tab says rename. Just do it there.
I did that. It doesn't say rename on mine.
That damn Android for you.
It says hide name.
It's that Android for you.
Come on, we waiting on.
Hey, Derek, my you know how my phone was working? With the IG Live?
Yeah.
Today it didn't work. I haven't changed any settings.
Hey, that's strange, because I haven't been able to get mine to work.
Look, and it did a still shot where I could see a still shot of myself, but he couldn't see me.
Right, that's the way mine's come up. That's the way mine was coming up.
I was black before.
I don't know. Because I looked at the settings. I mean, that's the only time it does that. Because I even did it live with just me and Craig, and it came. I was able to talk to you.
You what?
Hey man, we got
I did
a
it
lot of
live,
folks.
and that was me and Craig was able to do it.
Craig, we got a lot of folks on the live waiting on you to get started there, player.
Come on, Beijing. Let's get started, bro.
Come on, Beijing.
Fine, let me share the broadcast real quick. Give me 1 second, fine. Give me 1 second.
Hey, I started to put a post out saying there's a 50-50 chance on starting on time.
Hey. What's up, Facebook peoples? What's up, Facebook world? All right, let's get this thing started. All right, so we are back at it. It's the Wildcats podcast, and you know what? Only we can do it. Only we can do it. You know, in the building, I got my family right here. Shout out to my man Ant, a.k.a. the old man, a.k.a. the Asian asshole. Keep asking me for my Beijing. No, you can't have it, boy. What's up, Ant?
What's up, Beijing?
All right. Also in the building, I got my man Al, a.k.a. the brother minister, a.k.a. people, you must understand, he is not a racist. What's up, Big Al?
We live, baby. We live.
All right. Also in the building, I got my man Big G, a.k.a. my man Glenn, a.k.a. he spells his name with like 4 or 5 N's. What's up, Glenn?
What's up, COVID Black?
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. That Janet Jackson going on today. All right, also in the building, I got my man Keith, a.k.a. Cat Daddy Keith, a.k.a. Keith the Freak. What's up, Keith?
What's up, home?
Also in the building, I got that dude,
Oh,
Blue, a.k.a. the voice of reason, a.k.a. my man Dave. What's up, Dave?
Hey, man, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, Black.
Man, Dave, you know what? We just glad you're here, Dave.
On time, on top of that.
We're glad you made it here, Dave.
Thank you for the acknowledgement, Dirk.
Last but not least, we got my man Derek, a.k.a. the wallet, a.k.a. the money, a.k.a. the sponsor. He pays all the bills, but we ain't got none. What's up, Derek?
What's up, Black?
All right. So this podcast is about us and our friendship over the last 35, 40, 45, 50 plus years. And it's about the topics we want to cover because we don't give a goddamn about what you think. It's all about what we think. And via the Zoom verse, we coming to you with a special guest. Let me break it down to you. My man, DaShawn Taylor. He's an author, publisher, and a screenwriter. He's a native from New Jersey with a double major from Rutgers University. I ain't mad at that, all right? His work has been featured on BET, NBC, Fox, Essence Magazine, Don Diva Magazine, and Vibe Magazine. Now, Mr. Taylor has published over 100 books, ghostwritten over 25 books, and produced over 1,000 book covers for hundreds of authors, all right, including celebrity artists like Lil Mo, Snoop Dogg, and Meek Mill, all right? He is the CEO and owner of Next Level Publishing. It's a certified independent publishing house established in 2005 with a focus on urban literature and the inner city experience. Man, DaShawn's latest project entitled The Purple Fever is touted as an epic tale unfolding at a thrilling pace. The book was written during the COVID-19 lockdown. The sexy, mysterious twist transpired against the chilling backdrop of this pandemic crisis. Y'all give it up one time for my man DaShawn Taylor.
What's up, man? What's up?
Sound like DaShawn been busy.
Right,
Yeah.
man. Listen, I gotta take you on a roll with me, bro. You know what I'm saying? That intro was serious, man. I take you on a roll, man. I can sell 1 million copies, man.
No doubt.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
Listen, man.
He's available. He ain't doing anything right now.
Look, a lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying? I need that hype, man. You know, I need that too big MC. What's good? Let's hit this road, baby. What's good, fellas, man? I appreciate y'all having me on, man. This seemed like it's about to be a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it, man.
We appreciate you being here, bro.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Hey, DaShawn, I want to share a secret with you too, man. You won't be able to read that shit again twice.
What's that?
Not the same way. He won't give you that same intro again twice.
Look, I don't know.
He mess up our intro every week.
Hey, John, let me tell you something, man. It's a lot of haters in this podcast right now.
I see it.
A lot of realists.
A lot of old dudes, a lot of haters. Hey, but man, let's talk about you real quick, man. Let's talk about you.
I appreciate that, man. Definitely. Well, you know, man. I mean, I've been writing and publishing, man, for over 15 years. The one thing that we definitely should talk about is the BET Ultimate Hustler Show. That's kind of where everybody remember me from, and they don't know, like, when I actually went away from Dame and started my own situation, that we had started a hip hop magazine, man. We was publishing other authors. We was putting out so many projects that people, you know, didn't really know who was behind the scenes. So I put my first book out back in 2005, man. It's been like a blessing ever since then. I've been on a serious run, like I said, for over 15 years, man, just working with authors, publishers, singers, rappers, people that's behind the scenes, filmmakers, magicians, you know what I'm saying? So it's been a real crazy ride, man. I feel like super blessed, man, to have a strong team and just keep going, man. And even during this COVID, I couldn't just sit down and not do nothing. I got to do, you know what I'm saying, what people put, you know, what everybody waiting on. They waiting on new books. They want new content, you know, with all this, you know, craziness that's going on out in the streets. People really need to feel that release. So I definitely feel blessed to be able to put a project out that people can gravitate to and have some fun with.
All right. Hey, man, I got to ask you off the top. You mentioned Dame Dash, man, so I got to go there real quick. Are you still working with Dame Dash?
No, it was a reality show. It's actually one of the first hip hop reality shows that was out there. Everybody remember Making of the Band, you know what I'm saying, and all that. And the one that we was on BET.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick because I gotta get it out, man. I gotta get it out. So is he really the asshole that we always know him to be? Listen, he 400 times worse, bro. He's 400 times worse, man. No, when no cameras are off and this uncensored, oh man, he digging your ass, bro. Pause. You know what I'm saying? He's a beast out there. But I kind of understand where he's coming from. I mean, I don't do business like that. I mean, I actually believe in more community and collaborative efforts, but he more or less like a shark with it. So I can't, you know, it's hard to really navigate around him, but he always got that defense up. And if you don't really necessarily need him for anything, then you safe. But if you kind of, you know, you need him to do something for you or push you into the game, you see how a lot of people that was around him start to turn on him because it's just that crazy savage comes out, man. So it is what it is, man. Some people like to do business that way. Like I said, that's not necessarily the way I move, but I get it. And I've met people that's 40 times worse than him, honestly. Yeah, he's so angry all the time, man. He's just
right.
Like just pissed off all the time.
That's
why
why
I tell you one thing.
Jay-Z bump heads.
Right. I tell you one thing that I couldn't rock with him with, and he's probably, I mean, I don't even care if he comes for me, man. I'm grown, man. I don't care about that. But
we don't either.
Right. Facts. So the one thing I would say that I didn't like, the assholeness and all that stuff is cool. But I don't like people that feel like they're the smartest person in the room, because if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room all the time, there's no elevation there. There's not going to be anything that somebody's going to be able to tell you and help you move in a way. I always like to look at it from, you know, like a Ben Franklin or, you know, just an Einstein point of view, where it's like, nah, I know that I need to learn more and somebody else can give me a jewel somewhere else. So that's the only thing I couldn't rock with, is that you couldn't get past that, oh, I'm definitely the smartest person in the room, because I can't rock with that type of mentality.
Well, we have that issue on this podcast too. I ain't gonna name no names, but
his name was in the intro.
DaShawn, with all that said, what were some of the good and positive nuggets you took from it? Because again, when you see people like that, there is some level of success, and there's some things that, you know, that has escalated them to the position that they are. What positively, or what are some of the good things that you were able to take from that, from your experience?
So the one thing that I absolutely love, it felt like I've always been a hustler, and people that hear that's not necessarily ingrained in the culture, they think it's a negative connotation to it. But people that know that, you know, you come from literally the bottom, you basically got to get yourself back up to even, you know, that you got to grind nonstop. So I always had that in me from the places that I've been. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. If you know anybody from Trenton, you know, you doing two things. You either going to jail or you work for the jail. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So in grinding from where I'm grinding from, when I got on the show, it felt like I was on a high wire act. So I was able to think faster. I was able to move faster. It actually pushed me to start expanding, and learning the one of the biggest tips that I learned is getting it done sometimes is better than getting it perfect. So when you're on that time set and they got to film and they're like, listen, you got to turn in something in 3 hours. Get it done, and then once it's done, try to perfect it. Don't try to perfect it and then get it done, because it's never going to work that way. So it was a bunch of jewels that I learned on the show, and the fact that I came in second place, there were also 14 other hustlers that basically I had to navigate around. Honestly, some people we had to set up so they could get off the show, but that's part of being on the reality competition. So I had to learn how to navigate through those people to say, okay, who do you trust? Who can't you trust? Unfortunately, who do you take advantage of? And who do you let take advantage of you, or let them think that they're taking advantage of you, so you can now get their ass off the show? You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn a lot of like chess moves during that. So that, I feel like that moment that I was actually on a BET show was kind of like my halftime to readjust, to put me in a space where I can now expand on my own business. So I definitely, I feel like super grateful for that, man, because that competition was tough. That was a tough one.
All right, so it's the podcast. We hanging out with author, my man DaShawn Taylor. So let's talk about, I want to talk about the ghostwriting. You said over 25 books. So what is a ghostwriter? Break it down for me. What is actually a ghostwriter for a book? I mean, I know a ghostwriter in the rap game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's similar. It's similar. So with a ghostwriter, when it comes to hip hop, it's a little different because you're talking about songs. I mean, in my opinion, I think like when you go into a studio on a high level, you should have some sort of team around you that's now going to help you broadcast that song out. For somebody to say, all right, I did the beat, I did the engineering, I wrote the lyrics, I went in there, recorded it. A one-man band may not necessarily be as strong as somebody that got a whole effort going. So you may have somebody that just writes your hooks, or you may have somebody that just basically do your ad-libs like Quavo and them do. You know what I'm saying? So it's certain things about that song and certain spices that you put in order to amplify it. So when it comes to ghostwriting, it's similar. So with the ghostwriter, somebody may approach my company, or they may approach us directly and say, listen, I got a story, or I want you to tell my story about my real life. Now, you may not be able to tell your story in a way that is compelling. You know, somebody might say, all right, here's my story. I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I almost went to jail. I went to jail, I got out, and I turned my life around. Well, that's the crux of the story, but now how do you add that spice? How do you add that secret sauce? How do you add those little nuances that make people want to now dive into your story? Oh, okay, well, you went through a situation when you was younger and you found out that your aunt's not really your aunt because your mom is not really your mom, and then your mom actually married a dude from around the corner and you're actually the love child of some crazy situation. How do you now add all that into the pot so now people now want to, read your story and get involved with you as an author and an artist? So you basically want to look at the whole entire picture. So what we do as a company, now I might not ghostwrite your whole project, because again, if you come to me and say, I want to tell my story, it's my real life, I'm not going to write your real life because it's your experience. What I'm going to do is have you tell us the story. We'll break the whole thing down. And now I'm going to get deep, because you might not be telling me something that you want the world to know. And I may have to dig it out of you so that we can reframe it and restructure it to bring in readers. So that's where really what the ghostwriting part comes in, where I'm still taking your project and expanding on it, but you still got to put those pieces in there where I might be too shy to talk about a real situation and write it on paper. But if I tell somebody about it and I tell them different pieces during different times, that person may now be able to take those pieces, glue it together, repurpose it, put it out there so people can now read it. So it's definitely
it's a complex. You even got a company that does that, because I was looking at Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Eric Jerome Dickey, James Patterson, and those guys be turning over books so fast. Like they got series, and like they'll have multiple series and finish one. And like, I'm like, damn, I bust my ass to get through this book. And you got the next version coming out already. So there's a good chance they got actual ghostwriters writing for them.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not a good chance. It's an absolute truth. So if you look up, it's not a good chance, bro. It's an absolute fact. If you look at somebody like James Patterson, literally. So you ever watch a movie and right at the end of the movie, you see written by, and it's one person, or written by and it's two people. A lot of people don't realize there's a whole writing room. There is a room full of writers that sit in there perfecting that. So those little jokes that go in there. So somebody might write a project 10 years ago, and then when they bring it to market and that production house is ready to put it out, they may put all of this 2020 stuff in there, because now you got to bring it up to date. Now, who do you call on to bring it up to date? You bring in somebody that's now, you know, maybe younger or got their pulse on a hip scene or whatever. So that's the same thing that happens with these books. Dean Koontz and all of them, they may come up with something to say, all right, I got an idea for a story. But they're not going to sit down and give you 100,000 words or 200,000 words. It's just impossible. Now, what they will do is hire a team of writers to stay within the parameters of that story, pay them off, keep them quiet, put out a book. Now their name is on it. Because there's no way you're going to put out 5 to 10 projects a year and put your name on it and make me believe that you wrote the whole thing.
In the
it's
hip
just
hop
physically
game,
impossible.
A producer may add something to a track, and then one producer come back to the track, add something to the track. Another producer come back, add something to a track. That's just they doing in the hip hop game. So
take
right.
that.
Right.
That get you a writing credit. That when you live at Daddy's house, that gets you a writing credit. Take that. It's a writing credit, bruh. I want my credit. And how about this? The dude wasn't even born yet, Justin Combs, and he owns publishing of literally half of the roster for Bad Boy.
Wow.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Puffy smart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Puffy's that
business.
genius.
DaShawn, I got a question on that with the books. When you're saying you're ghostwriting the books, and let's say it's an autobiography, how much of that from a ghostwriter standpoint is actually fictional? Where you got to add some pieces in there to kind of bridge the gap to what you've actually been told, like you said, to bring it up to speed or whatever. How much of it is fictional on an autobiography?
Honestly, it depends on the client. So the client, you may have some people, like I've dealt with celebrities, and celebrities are not going to tell you everything that went on, but they want to express what happened. They want to talk about certain things, but they can't tell you every single name, or they can't put their, peoples on blast. So that's when a writer and a creator comes in to say, listen, tell that same story, but let's make it happen to your cousin. Tell that same story, let's just make it happen to somebody else, so that you're now not liable for the truthness of that part, but you're still telling that story. So it really depends on who it is. Some people are open books. They want every single piece out there, and they don't care how ugly it is. They don't care how many people they put on blast, i.e. Karen Steffens or whatever her name is, Superhead. She put everybody on blast. She tried to change names and all that, but she was like, nope, this is the guy. Y'all know him. The only reason why I can't say his name because I don't want to get sued directly. So you got some people that just throw it out there, you know what I'm saying, and make it raw and uncut. And then you got some people, like I said, that want to tell their story, but you can kind of truncate the story. You can combine names. You can combine the times. You can change the timeline. So you got to get real creative. And that's why I always suggest people that want to tell their story, don't waste the moment. You know what I'm saying? Don't say, all right, I want to tell my story. I want to keep it real, and I'm going to just tell it. And then when you read it, it sounds like Cat in the Hat, or it sounds like, it sounds stupid because that person is not necessarily a creative writer. Then you come in, hire somebody like me, put my team on, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a great project that's going to last forever, because that's how we do it.
So DaShawn, let me ask you this. Let's get back to your latest book, Purple Fever.
Mm-hmm.
What got you into that part of the aspect of being an erotic, like author, with a twist? So explain to the listeners and everybody how that come about.
So I basically put out my first book in 2005, but that story was about me. So I've always had these crazy stories that I basically wanted to make into a movie. So I write what's called like a cinematic style, where I walk you into the setting. So it's more story driven than just character driven. So you may read some books and it says I throughout the whole book. So they want you to now fall in love with that character. I kind of come at it from a flip side, where I want you to get a sense of the story. So the story itself and what's going on basically brings you in. Now, how I got into the erotic side, ironically, I don't like to really call it erotic. I like to call it like sexy thrillers, because the books are not, they're not necessarily based on sex. Like an erotic story is like, that's all they're doing. Right, soft porn. I like that. Yeah. Right. So, but that's the crux of the story. The crux of the story is the person is either in like a loving relationship or some type of crazy romance. So that's what it's about. Mine is kind of flipped. If you want to know what the crux of the story is, crime thriller. That's literally where my niche is, where I write these crazy criminal elements / sexy divas. Like I kind of want to add like that sexual element to it, especially when it comes to the female side. And then you got some guys that kind of use the same, the same way to get what they need as well. So I don't really like the term erotic. They really do put us in a box when it comes to that novel side. So that's really, if I had to create my own side, it would definitely be a sexy thriller. That would kind of be where I want it to be, because I do like that suspense. And people that, that read the books know that every page is a cliffhanger. So that's kind of the style that I like.
All right, it's the Wildcats podcast. Hanging out with my man DaShawn Taylor, author, writer, and hold on one second, I'm gonna get right to you and let you go. But I got Glenn. Glenn has a question real quick. Go ahead, Glenn.
I hate to go back to the ghostwriting, but I always wanted this.
Yeah.
So how much time do you have to spend with the individuals to really have a good picture? And do you do research like news articles and stuff like that to kind of get the more gritty part of the details of the story to make it like, the extra spice that you're looking for?
Again, it depends on the client. Some clients don't make the news at all. So if that client may not have anything that you can research. Some client may stay all in the news. So that's basically, I'm saying, their whole life is TMZ, Google. You can find everything on Wikipedia. So that's a challenge too, because now you got to find what the audience don't know. So somebody may say, oh, yeah, you can just go to my news story and it's on there. And it's like, well, if that's the news story, why would they buy their book? Buy your book? They'll just go to TMZ. So it really is kind of a delicate dance, so to speak, where you figure out the client and what the client has to offer and what they want to put out there. And then you got to do your own digging. Now, I truly believe that everybody has a story within them. They just don't know necessarily how to tell it. So you may see a person with a movie camera, they may go out and do something, but the production value is low. So they don't really have that special sauce to make it look like a Jaws or some sort of Steven Spielberg or Tyler Perry high, definition. So you got to get somebody to amplify it. So when it comes to doing research and all of that stuff, it really is researching what's public, researching what they tell. So you may tell me a story. I'm going to take that 30 minutes that you give to me, and we're going to turn a whole entire 6-hour ordeal out of this, because now you just can't tell me, yo, I went to this park and it was hot. It's like, all right, well, why was you there? What was you wearing? What was the purpose? You know what I'm saying? How did you feel? How did the person feel next to you? You know what I'm saying? And take you back to when that was going on and then expand on that. So those really are the pieces and the building blocks. So some clients, you may sit with them for a month. Some clients, you may sit with them for 6 months. Some clients you may sit with for years. I mean, I've definitely dealt with projects that took 2-3 years to put out because, again, somebody may tell you some surface level stuff. And I'll be honest with you, if it's not dope and it's not going to basically survive, I'm not going to help you put it out, because I need to dig deep. And everybody's built with this innate barrier that says this protection. It says, all right, well, I'm not going to tell you everything. Nah, if you writing a book and you want people to really get, behind you or on your side and go to your next project and go to your next project, you got to tell them the raw details, man. People are human, man. They want that ugliness. So,
DaShawn. Hey, so DaShawn, did you learn this? Because this is a real skill set, just you explaining it from this point. So did you learn this in grad school, or this is something that just the streets and just from your experience and just, hey, you know what? And after the first one, you just build your skills upon that?
Well, so the technical side of it, as far as like publishing, I went to school for communication. My double major was computer science and communication. So the technical side of actually physically putting the binding and all that stuff, learned all of that. Creatively, we all hip hop here. So we've been in the hip hop era forever. And we all know the #1 rule, don't bite my shit. Don't bite my shit. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta find your creativity. If you sound like the next person, or your project sounds like, yo, you're a biter, and you may get a smaller portion of that marketing. You know what I'm saying? So somebody like, nah, that I could get that from somebody else. I could get that sound or those words for somebody else. So I've always knew that you gotta be creative and you gotta come different. So I personally, it's definitely innate. I'm never satisfied. I always try to push myself. My first book that I came out, I read it today. People love it. And I'm like, damn, man, I made so many mistakes. I could have expanded on it. You know what I'm saying? But that's, to me, that's the true essence of a creator. I'm pretty sure y'all look at y'all shows and like, damn, yo, we messed up on that. Let's make it better. Then the next one is better. Then the next one is better. And then as soon as you think you got it perfect, you like, nope, let's go harder. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that if people come like that towards the game, sky's the limit and beyond.
All right, it's a Wildcats podcast. We're hanging out in the Zoom first verse with my man DaShawn Taylor, writer, publisher, got his own publishing house doing his thing right now. And we're gonna go to my man Old Blue. He got a question. What's up, Dave?
You actually answered a lot of my questions, but I got a few for you.
Okay.
As far as being on the team, have you ever written or been associated with Mr. Steve? I know everything about men and women, Harvey. have you been on any teams writing with him?
No. I'm not even gonna say that. Steve is powerful. Steve is a powerful dude, man. I don't need Steve out there trying to mute me, yo. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him starting on mute DaShawn movement. You know what I'm saying?
I'm supposed to be on money messing with Old Blue.
So we're not gonna mess up. We're not gonna mess up your paper.
Y'all can mess with him,
right.
Steve. You cool with me, Steve. I don't want no problems, man. I don't want no smoke.
You don't want that beef. You don't want that beef.
Some Wildcats, we want the smoke though.
I don't want no problems with your ex-drug dealer wife and all. I don't want no problems, man. I'm saying I don't want no problems with that. Please don't try to mute me. I need my business thriving. Plus, he's friends with Donald. 45 can come after us now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's friends with the boss now, yo. Like, woo. That boy got some powerful friends.
But my next question was, as far as getting into like your creative side and working on your projects, what are some of the things that motivates you for your storylines? And as far as like just timetables, do you put a timetable on yourself? Like, I want to try to be done by a certain time, or you just let it flow, and if you take a break, you come back to it, maybe start another novel, or something. How does that process work?
Good question. So if in the beginning, I try to do this whole, Erykah Badu, I'm sensitive about my shit. Y'all can't read it. Let me write. I tried that in the beginning. My first book about my real life took about 6 months. Now, my first novel, which is the Kiss by the Devil project, that was like my first crack at creating this. Like I said, I always knew I was going to create something new. I was like, nah, I want it sexy, but I also want the girl to be gritty. I want her to be gritty, but I also need her a little naive, because everybody's not that smart. This is a journey. So I kind of was creating something new. Shit took me 2 years. You know what I'm saying? The worst mistake I ever made, because my momentum slowed down. That first book came out in 6 months and I was out there grinding. That next book took 2 years. So it was it was real slow to have it catch on. So the one thing that was really interesting is the first person that read that book that I wrote in 2 years, they read it in 1 day. So when I gave it to them in the morning, they bought it. And then that next day they called me like, yo, this book is crazy. And I'm like, damn, you read that in 1 day and it took me freaking 700 days to write it. So, you know what I'm saying? So that lesson always stuck with me. Like, bro, sit down, get it done, put it out there, go to the next one, keep
Time
it moving.
is money.
Because,
Time is money.
yeah, time is money.
Right,
So
right,
I learned
right.
that lesson early. So with this new book with Purple Fever, it's based on it's not based on the COVID virus, is based on the crisis. We all pretty much in the same situation right now. We either home, some people are displaced, some people are unemployed, some people are sick, some families are, going through it. So I wanted to make the COVID crisis the backdrop of it, so it's familiar to all of us. But I have all these twists and turns in it. So with this particular book, I told myself 3 months and that's it. And I got done a little bit earlier because I'm home, you know what I'm saying? So I can't front like I'm traveling around, on tour. I have none of those excuses. So I said 90 days, I'm gonna get it done, but I actually got it done earlier because I, maybe carved out 2 more hours a day, and I sat down and I outlined the whole project before I started it. So I created the blueprint for the story, and it helped me out a little bit easier this time around. So one thing, I would definitely say I try to put a timeline on certain things. Again, that whole trying to get it perfect. Try it on the next one. Don't work hard and do what you need to do. But if you're sitting down trying to make it perfect, it's really gonna kill your momentum.
Right.
Now,
it's some Wildcats podcast. We're hanging out with my man DaShawn Taylor, author, writer, and Derek. You got a question, real quick?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, DaShawn, now, as far as any novel, do you have any novels that currently are like feature films, or that you are able to sold to production as far as movie goes? And another follow-on question: now, as you writing, do you think in the mindset that I can write this novel to produce a future film, anything of that nature, or is you just writing, it's just a writing concept, and you don't even have that mindset thought in the back of your mind?
So that's actually a great question. So I do write cinematically for that reason. So I'm actually broadcasting to a few people when I write. So it's not haphazard. When I'm talking about lighting, and I'm talking about smells, and I'm talking about sights, and I'm talking about what people wearing and where they are and what streets and what intersections something happens, and what, I'm talking to producers, because at some point these projects will elevate and be the building blocks to some show. Now, I've had plenty of offers. People reached out. Unfortunately, and I know this is probably a terrible thing to say, but I'm gonna just put it out there. We have got to defund the Chitlin circuit. We need to figure out a way to defund it. Find out who is bankrolling these projects and defund it, because we can go to such a high level when it comes to African-American content. Now, I was never a Jordan Peele fan. Like when he was on Comedy Central with his partner and they was doing, I watched a few of them. Man, I absolutely love what he's doing right now. Love it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Us and Get Out. They were dope. But the fact that he was able to take it and elevate it, it's still Black characters. It still got Black jokes in it. But the production value isn't low. So I've been approached by a couple of people that said, yeah, here go $20,000. Let's try to make this into a movie. Then it's like, nah, I'm going to end up like Soul Plane. And then I'm done. And then I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not, my first crack at it, I'm sorry, I love Queen Latifah to death, but Cookout was an absolute mistake. That was an absolute mistake. Like, that company was so primed to do great work. When you put that out there and you're known for that, it's over. So I'd rather wait my turn. Shout out to Samuel Jackson. Basically, he got a late start and he's dominating the game. He's not just a regular actor. He is dominating the game. So I feel like if I get a late start on this movie side and its visual side, I'm good. Because basically, look at Clint Eastwood. He got to be 200 years old. He has to be 200. He has to be 200, and he's still putting out films. He was running drugs in his last movie. Like, that's how, you know what I'm saying? He was running. He was running drugs, yo. So I feel like I'm giving a shout out to any producer that's watching this. I am 100% for putting my stuff visually, but I am not going to settle for either a small budget or some sort of, like I said, some chitlin circuit, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, no real content. Nah, we doing this thing and we going to do it right. So
DaShawn,
yeah, go ahead.
I get, like you said first when you were talking about the books, you say, even if it's not ready, get it out there. And now I'm hearing you say, when it comes to the movies, you want to be a little bit more patient with it and make sure that it's all put together. So how do you kind of, how you get that line? How you draw that line?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
You want to hurry up and get it out, or
So the one thing, so the great thing about it, anybody that know me, I can comfortably say anything I ever release from my computer, none of it is trash. Now, some of it might be not as good as, an author that you may liked in the past, a Toni Morrison or, Iceberg Slim or something like, but it's not trash. Like, that's the thing I cannot stand. If you're going to put something out, make it dope. Now, it's one thing, like I said, you don't have to get it perfect. Now, a perfect budget for me is $2 billion. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? It's $2 billion. Listen, Avatar was $1 billion project. You know what I'm saying? So it can be done. It can be. You can spend $1 billion on a film. So my thing is, yes, if I feel like somebody's going to come to me, it has to reach a certain level. And unfortunately, I'll be honest with y'all fellas, I've never got approached with a substantial deal before. And I think I'm just not in the right circle. So that's what this is about. Me expanding out, making sure my projects are getting to the right people. Because they always say, if you make enough noise, they'll find you. So that's what this grind is about now. This is kind of, like I said, my
right now.
Because,
of course.
Because
listen.
We about putting individuals together. We're about networking. Because matter of fact, we have another individual who's coming on our podcast next week that does documentaries, short films, and I'm just thinking of like to try to connect y'all two up, just to brainstorm. But you never know what can happen as far as your writing capability. And I just talked to him yesterday. He's home now grinding, trying to write multiple films and short films. Because right now he has one on Amazon right now, but to hear what you saying and what you have to bring to the table and his capabilities. I mean, he's an actor. He does commercials. He does short film. He's been on a number of movies, even short-term documentaries. So it will be good to kind of connect y'all two up, this brainstorm, because us as African Americans, we don't reach out enough to try to work with each other. We want to deter and say, I can't work with this person, but you never know until you have the opportunities, because we got to reach back and keep the money, just like you said, it's nobody going to help us but us. We got to keep the money within our communities, and we able to put out film and books as you doing, and as well as on the same scale as all those other individuals. We doing it. Movies coming out now that's all black cast. We're making money. We seeing things is done, but that's why I wonder. That's what we do here on a Wildcast podcast here.
And it just so happens that Derek is his manager, so that's why he wants to make that. That has nothing to do with it. That's just a
finder's
coincidence.
fee. 15%, baby. I feel you. Get that finder's fee.
All right, it's the Wildcats podcast. We're still hanging out with my man DaShawn Taylor. Hey man, I got a question coming from Facebook. My man Cecil Parker. He wants to know, what has been the hardest thing about getting your works being accepted? What has been the hardest journey about getting your works, I guess, being accepted, I guess, in the mainstream of media?
That's an interesting point. Cecil is his name?
Cecil Parker.
Cecil Parker. So here's the crazy thing. So I'm gonna try to not get too deep with this. So the question was, what's been the hardest part of getting my books accepted? And I want to actually flip that question. The hardest part is believing that you have to get accepted. That's, to me, was the hardest part of this industry. So in the beginning, I was trying to pitch my stuff to say, no, trust me, it's dope. It's like, no, you have to make it dope and market and put it out there. If it's dope, they'll come. I know that sounds crazy, and it's like a hard twist of, if you're grinding hard enough, you're going to get your name out there. People are famous for the worst things. They're famous for not putting out books. People are famous for, you know, it's the cash me out girl that said one line on television and all of a sudden she put a record out. I mean, it's the Woo Child girl, you know, it's the I heard somebody creeping in my back door and I came downstairs. What was her name? I forgot it already. But people get famous for the weirdest stuff. So
I got bronchitis.
There you go. There you go. So trying to put yourself out there is like actually counterproductive. Make your projects dope, hire a marketing team, and then push out there. So that's kind of the hardest part of not realizing that there is work. Michael Jordan had to work. Kobe had to work. Denzel had to work. Spike Lee had to work. The people that you respect had to work. Tyler had to work. Don Lemon had to work. Everybody got to put in that hard work. There is no, I'm going to start writing today and then tomorrow I'm going to be accepted. If you don't have that work in between that journey, dog, nothing you do is going to be able to sustain, because you got to build it on something. So a lot of people look back and they say, oh yeah, Jay, you know, Jay is that dude. And, you know, the first 3 albums was crazy. If anybody remember hip hop, a lot of people didn't listen to those first 2 because Big was such a huge, you know, hip hop New York staple between him, Nas, and what Wu was doing and what Snoop was doing on the West Coast. He had to build, and then soon as Hard Knock Life dropped, Jokers was like, oh, you know what, I got to go back and listen to that. Oh, they went back and retrospectively gave it 5 mics and stuff like that. So you got to put that work in and try not to think like you need to be accepted. You got to grind, make it dope, and then market. You got to. Now, that's one thing you definitely got to do. You got to market. You got to find your niche. You got to find your audience, and now keep them with you, because that's the audience that's going to build and help you, you know, hold you down and be your support system as you now, you know, become bigger.
And we working on that right now with the podcast. We working on it right now.
Yep.
I got a quick question, DaShawn. Are you putting your own books out, you know, funding yourself, or are you going to a distributor to be able to do your books yourself?
So the game has changed a little bit. So anybody that's been in books 10 years, I'll say when I first got into the game, none of my books was on ebook, because Amazon was pretty much just starting. There was no such thing as a Kindle. There was no such thing as an e-reader. So the ebook regulations and the laws actually started to come into the forefront around 2008, 2009, going into 2010. Now in 2020, you can't even think about a book without thinking about ebook and Kindle and stuff like that. So in the beginning, distribution was made a little bit differently. I actually didn't get with a distributor in the beginning because I didn't like the deal of giving somebody 70% of what I was earning. I didn't like that deal. So I actually built my audience going up to Harlem, doing the expos, going to every Black female event that I could think of, Essence Music Festivals for Sisters Only. Yep, all of that. So I did all of those events and actually built my audience that way. So it was really, really organic. So the good thing is that I got into the game early enough where those same fans actually walk with me and they basically, you know, support me to this day. Now, somebody that's just now coming in, they may need to look at a more digital distribution outlet in order to build their audience up. Social media, Amazon, Apple iBooks, things like that, because now, as you see, the world has immediately changed just in 6 months. There is no FSO to go to. There is no Essence. There is no BET Awards. There is no BET Hip Hop Awards. There is no Indiana, you know, Black Expo. There is no Black Film Festival. All of that stuff is literally shut down until further notice. So now you have to think about creative ways in order to navigate. So distribution now has totally changed. Again, if somebody's coming into the game and you don't really have an audience, but you're building it up, you got to think digital. Because right now, to think that it's going back to the levels of where it was before, you would definitely be doing yourself a disservice, because even if those events come back, it's going to be totally different. It's not going to be what you were used to before. So I will always suggest people to go to Amazon, get your stuff on a Nook. You could go to a place, and I know I'm probably giving away too many jewels, but go to a place called Smashwords, and you could basically do all of your distribution at one channel. Now, do your numbers, do your accounting, Those numbers may not work for you. You know, you may not want to give up 80% or 70% or 65%.
Wow.
So you may have to print books. Now your printed books can now get distributed, you know, independently. Use the U.S. mail, you know, drop off some stuff. Like basically, this is kind of how, if you want to build an audience, it definitely still has to be organic, but you have to do it through the digital outlet in order to help you build that groundswell up.
Hey, DaShawn, I have another question for you. So, with your book Purple Fever, you know, you had a timeline. You say you got it done early. Do you kind of have some regret? Not regret. I don't definitely want to say regret, but like a second thought. Say, you know what? What's going on right now this last week could really put some real twists in my book. I know you gotta be like, man, just waited a little bit. She could have did this. She could, you know. I haven't read the book yet. Again, wait for my copy out.
Right. Well, I don't want to give it away. But I'll be honest with you. I don't really regret much when I create. When I create, I don't think I'm an arrogant person, right? But I could tell you, like I said, I know it's a weird thing to say, and I have 100% faith and confidence in my ability. If I sit down and do the work, like I said, I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna give you something dope. Now, if you call me tomorrow and say, listen, I need a book in a week, now you're gonna get the half-ass project. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get me rushing. I might, you know what I'm saying? I might have to go back into my archives and write something that I was working with before. So you're gonna get all that crap. But if I have time and I sit down and I come up with it, I have the utmost confidence that I'm going to get your attention with this book and I'm going to hold it. So I don't necessarily have regrets about this book. I just know what to do as I move forward to write, because this book is contemporary. It's about now, but I still have other projects that's coming out that I could go back retrospectively and add it in. So it's not necessarily a regret, but I get what you're saying. I just try not to. After that first book, like I said, my first book, and I learned those lessons, I've been straight ever since. Like, I'll be honest with you. If somebody come up to me, I've heard people literally tell me to my face, I don't read no books. What you giving me this for? Or, wait a minute, Kissed by the Devil, what do you got horns under that hat? Like, I mean, I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all. So I don't easily get, you know, I don't get dissuaded. I don't get discouraged. I put it out there. Some people gonna love it. Some people gonna like it. Some people gonna absolutely hate you no matter what the hell you do. You know what I'm saying? You could give them a bar of gold and they still gonna be looking like, I thought you were supposed to give me 2. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it is.
Let me ask you real quick. I do got a quick question. Well, Craig, did you want to jump in?
I just appreciate the show real quick. It's a Wildcats podcast. We're still hanging out with my man, DaShawn Taylor, writer, author, publisher, and he's all about the writing. And Ant, got a question? Go right here, Ant.
Yeah, and again, like, how many times were you shot down by publishing companies before you got your first okay or your first deal and stuff? Because 0, okay. So your first one, you shot your first time, and you was like, bam.
I do you one better, bro. I've never, ever wrote one query letter. I've never called the publisher. Dog, I never thought about doing that. From the beginning of my life, I've always started my own business. I've never reached out to Random House. I've never, because to me, I'm doing this on my own. I'm gonna create my team around me, and we moving forward. I've all from when I was 15 years old, when I started my first business, I always knew that other side basically did the same thing that I was doing. They either got money from their uncles or got money from their family in order to build it up. So I knew that if I kept grinding, something was coming in from somewhere. But I never reached out to a publishing house ever.
Let me ask you this: Does writing exclusively pay the bills? Because you say you went through a stint where you went 2 years in between your 6-month project. So for aspiring writers,
that was years ago.
That was years ago. Okay, so writing does pay the bills.
Right. That was years ago. Now keep in mind, a publishing company, we do it all. So we're full service publishers, which means we will write, we'll design, we'll produce, we'll print, we'll distribute, we can post for you, we do social media marketing. So we have been able to sustain through this COVID because we were always digital. Like the company.
So are you the HNIC of this company?
Nah, not even close. Not even close. Nah, man.
Who was at the back?
I can't even say it because my business partner is listening and I might get stabbed tonight. Like, you might get murdered, yo. Like, God.
Going to sleep comfortably tonight.
God. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even get to do my first virtual book sign. He trying to get me murdered, yo, during COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Now, let me ask you, because
He thought about that, but he was like, nah.
You're setting me up. You're setting me up.
I do a lot of audio books. And
So
stuff,
look, I want to eat tonight.
Yeah, DaShawn, I listen to a lot of audio books, but I noticed I didn't see any of your books there on that platform. So is there some place where I can go to either download the books or listen to them digitally, you know, as opposed to
listening to it, if I had one Achilles heel, it's definitely the audio. The moment when we were about to do audiobooks and transition all of our projects, that's when this started. So studio time got booked, all types of stuff. So we have, I want to say 4 projects that need to get, transcribed into audio and immediately get put up. So if it's one Achilles heel, if you're a big audio person, right now, I'm not your guy. I do apologize. Give us some time. I'll definitely hook you up. But if you are an ebook person, I'm all day. You paperback, I'm all day. If I could say it's one Achilles heel about the company, because we do need that studio time and we need other collaborative efforts, that's the only thing that we're waiting on. And again, taking it back to what my man Keith was saying, I probably didn't take my own advice when I wanted it perfect, because when I talk about audio, it's not going to be just one person reading. I need to do a production of it. So that is probably the one thing where I'm like, again, I want to kind of be different. I don't want it just to sound like a monotone person reading it, because the book is not like that. So we've been able to do celebrity book readings. We've been able to do stuff like that where we'll have celebrities sitting at a round table and reading a book in front of an audience and stuff like that, almost like a play read. So we were able to do that stuff. And then as soon as we were about to move into that realm, all of this COVID stuff happened. So I do apologize to my audio people. Give me a second. I definitely got you and you won't be disappointed.
All right. It's a Rockcast podcast. We're still hanging out with DaShawn Taylor. And right now I want to talk about, let's go to the Purple Fever, man. Let's talk about how the people can get the book. Let's talk about the book, man. What is Purple Fever, man?
That's a good question, man. I don't know, man. I'm taking you on a roll with me, bro, because you got the questions, man. Everybody else got the questions, but you hitting it on the head. So Purple Fever is revenge, man. When you got that deep, like that serious need, that thing that makes your head like turn into a straight demon, you are ready to like explode. So Purple Fever is a story about revenge. So if you are into that type of get back stuff, I don't know if y'all read the synopsis, but it's 3 rules to revenge. Does anybody know what it is? Does anybody know what the 3 rules are to revenge?
I know one was cold, somebody being cold. I mean, take time.
My man, that's what's up, sir. Number 1, serve it cold as ice. Number 2, there is no expiration date, which means, like I said in the last interview, if somebody do you wrong in grammar school, you better chase that joker down until y'all in the same freaking old folks home, and you better pop them right in the dome piece just for doing you wrong back in the 3rd grade. You feel me? And then number 3, no one is exempt. So I always say that. If you do me wrong and you my blood, I feel sorry for it. It's just gonna be easy to get to you at the family reunion. You know what I'm saying? So it's 3 rules to it. So that's what Purple Fever is. It's like I said, it's a real sexy get back type of story. It'll definitely have you engulfed in it from the beginning. But I kind of gave that part away because everybody's like, yo, what's Purple Fever? What's this? What's that? But male and female could read it because it's definitely gritty and sexy at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, and how can you get the book? Oh, you want me to talk about that or later?
No, go ahead.
Say how you get the book.
So right now, we had talked about the whole Amazon thing. Because of everything that's going on with COVID right now, and I wanted everybody to pretty much meet at the same place so they can go to Amazon.com. They can download the ebook and they can also pick up a paperback version. If you want a signed copy from yours truly, please go to DaShawnTaylor.com. That's DaShawnTaylor.com. Anybody that buys a signed copy will get the official
Marketing,
Purple Fever.
Oh, mask.
Purple Fever mask.
Okay.
Because we're gonna be wearing masks for the next 40 years now with this whole COVID-21 and COVID-22 coming. So
don't do no 40.
Don't do that.
COVID-40.
Don't put it in the atmosphere. Don't put it in the atmosphere.
That's the new norm. The new norm.
That. Yes.
Okay, DaShawn, I'm gonna back up a little bit. I want to ask you, in all your books that you have done, in all your projects, do you have anything that you would like consider being a stage play?
A stage play, yes, I do. I'm not going to say the client name, but I have a client, man. I would love for that project to come out because it'll be a lot of musical stuff. It'll be a lot of drama. It'll be a lot of history, and I love that part of it too. People will exactly know what's going on. Man, I would absolutely love that. I don't know what's going on Ant Screen, but that looks crazy.
I tried to be slick with him, man.
I got 4 people ask me the same question. What is going on?
I was about to call EMS. I'm about to call EMS. Like, yo.
He homeless. He trying to put up his phone.
Hey, DaShawn, he's our Renaissance man in the group. He tried his hand in acting back in the day. He might be just trying to, show out. I start talking about stage plays.
You laughing quiet as kept. I'm about to send him the first 3 pages of my book that I wrote back in 2004.
You can't do that.
Only 3 pages. You need some more pages than that.
No, but that's a teaser.
Wait, but DaShawn,
that's not even a teaser.
He told us he was writing a book. He told us he was writing a book, and then said the book was going to be similar to The Best Man, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can't finish that book."
Hey, he can't go write 3 pages. He can't
No
go write 3
rat.
pages.
No rat.
Hey, DaShawn, let them know that writing is not easy, man.
It's hard. It's
not
man,
easy.
It's the most tedious thing you'll ever do because, again, like I said, if you can't write and create a character, first of all, you got to create a character. If you don't know how to create a character, don't tell me what the story is and where you went to. If you can't create a character that's 3-dimensional, almost 4-dimensional, that got some color to them, that got some, and again, I hate these superhero types. I'm always reading books and stuff like that. And I hate these 1-dimensional super thug or super sexy if you're not giving them some sort of blemishes, if you're not giving them some sort of weaknesses, stuff that they can have an internal journey with, then it's not going to be real. But yeah, man, writing is it's going to be the most tedious thing you ever do, man. So but the one thing is, if you write it good and you put it out once, you never got to go back and rewrite it again if it's dope.
Do you write in a vacuum, meaning that you just go ahead and just like pour it all out and then you kind of get somebody to listen to it? Or do you say you take your outline and they say, hey, what do you think about this?
No, I don't talk to nobody. And again, I don't know if that's just, some people again call it arrogance or something like that, but I feel like I've read and watched enough stories to know that a book is nothing but a story. Whether it's true, whether it's false, whether it's lies, whether it's garbage, whether it's dope, it's still a story. So if you read something and you're able to captivate, it's like, listen, sit down for a second. Let me tell you something. I actually went to this store and this guy threw a whole bag of flour at me. So instead of getting mad, what I did was I walked over and I hugged his wife and she had flour all in her head. Like, if you could get somebody's attention and tell them and walk them down the path with you, you can write a book. But now, how do you now compete with those other authors and other publishers? And, because you're not just competing with the books, you're competing with, Netflix, you're competing with Amazon Prime, you're competing with Hulu. You got to grab somebody's attention. So that is the part where I think a professional or trying to get some professional help would definitely help people, along the way. But as far as the stuff that I create for myself, that I got these crazy stories in my head, the minute I talk to somebody else, is going to leave and it's going to go other places and I'm not going to be able to do it. So I definitely don't really consult people when I write my own stuff.
It's a Wildcats podcast. We're hanging out with my man, DaShawn Taylor. man, I just want to let the peoples know. Want you to let the peoples know where they can get your material once again. Let them know one more time, man, before we let you go.
Listen, man, this is my 8th solo project, man. It's been fun. It's like, man, and y'all, listen, if you're not familiar with my little cinematic style, my little sexy, gritty, you know, thriller type books, I definitely suggest just pick up the first one, Kissed by the Devil. You're going to get hooked from the opening chapter. That's exactly how I started my whole novel career, where I was like, nope, I'm going to grab you by the throat and I'm never going to let you go. That's just what it is. Cause you ain't gonna be able to call the cops or nothing because I'm gonna squeeze tight. You know what I'm saying? That's just basically how I get you. So my thing is go to DaShawnTeller.com. If you want the first book, it's called Kissed by the Devil. Right now, it's all about purple fever. It's gritty, grimy, sexy, thriller. It's addictive. Sometimes it's gonna piss you off. You're gonna yell at the screen. It's gonna be shocking. So yeah, definitely go to DaShawnTeller.com. If you want to grab the archives, if you want the new book, just go to Amazon.com, grab yourself the ebook or the paper book. Want a signed copy, please come over to DaShawnTeller.com, buy it from the website. I'll sign it, send it over to you, and also got your Purple Fever mask.
Yeah, marketing, baby. Hey, why don't y'all give it one time for my man DaShawn Taylor one time, y'all.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for coming out, man. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, man. You know what? I just got me a job as a hype man for a right. So,
Absolutely.
You know, I do this some Wildcats thing on Sundays, man. So we good, man.
That's what's up. We got a COVID rate though. So that's the only thing. My COVID, the COVID rate might not be a rate you used to. You know what I'm saying? So we can offer you room and board. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a meal once every other day.
You gotta speak to him about that, okay? I don't work them deals out.
There you go. And no, I gotta plug one thing. You asked me about the HNIC thing, and see, I already got yelled at because I forgot something. You know what I'm saying? So you trying to make me starve. You know what I'm saying? If you need publishing services or if you need somebody to write your project, we keep it on the low. We do what's called white glove service, where we will help you do whatever you need to do. We just don't put no fingerprints on it. So definitely reach out to nextlevelpublishing.com. We do everything from artwork to design to social media marketing, the whole nine. If you got your project already done, we're the perfect place for you because you can have your book out within the next 15 days. Trust us. Hit us up, nextlevelpublishing.com. We got you. If you got a story in your head, I want to shout out every author, publisher, every designer, every producer, actor, writer. Keep the arts alive, man, because people need content out here. Pray for the people that's out in these streets, man, because I know it's crazy, man. And pray for the family of George Floyd, man, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nuts, man.
Anthony gonna send you his 3 pages. And just let him know.
You laughing. Yeah, you laughing.
One more time. Y'all give it for my man DaShawn.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your time, man.
We appreciate
Thank you, man.
It's a Wildcats podcast coming to you live from the Zoomverse, and we about to switch gears a little bit. We about to jump into this whole conversation about, my man DaShawn mentioned, George Floyd. And we can't forget Ahmaud Arbery. We can't forget Mike Brown and the many, many more people that have been affected by this injustice, this social injustice that, you know, that's going on, that's taking this country by storm. Man, it's something that's kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna call it heartbreaking. That's what it is, because innocent Black people are dying. They're being killed by people that are supposed to be protecting us, and it's isolated incidents. But at the same time, these cops have not been prosecuted. They have not been given that day in court and put in jail for the crimes they have committed. And that's why you have so many riots. That's why you have so much unrest within the African-American community right now, because they just haven't been, you know, it's like they're lawless. They can kill people at will and nothing happened. So we're gonna bring in, if we can get this dude to work his camera right, turn his camera on. We got my man, Clay Farmer. He's out of Captain Clay Farmer out of St. Louis, Missouri. He has served as a police officer for over 19 years, first in Veneta Park Police Department, which is now part of the North County Police Collaborative. Captain Farmer served as a commander of the Dalewood Pine Lawn Upland Parks precincts, and he's also as the commander of community engagement, public relations officer, school resource supervisor, training coordinator, housing supervisor, communication supervisor, and is responsible for recruitment and hiring of officers. He's done a lot. And he was in those actually riots that was happening in Ferguson, Missouri with Mike Brown. And I'm trying to get Clay I guess Clay is having some technical difficulties. He's Telly Riley right now because I still don't see his picture. I don't know if it's something we could do. Can you hear us, Clay? I guess he can't hear us. You actually brought him in?
He's in. That's on his end.
All right. So, well, while he trying to get his stuff together, I'm gonna throw it to the fellas, man, because this is what's been, it happened right here. We come to you live from DC, DMV, and man, last night the city was on fire. Downtown 16th Street. The thing that has been kind of, I don't know. I feel a certain way about it because when I turned on TV last night and I saw the cameras going, I saw a lot of different faces. I didn't see a lot. I saw some African-American faces, but I saw faces of different nationalities. So I'm trying to really, I feel a certain way, but I'm gonna let somebody go ahead and speak. I don't know. What do you feel about
Black, I'm just gonna let y'all know that Mayor Bowser just put out an emergency alert. I don't know if you guys got it on your phone for DC. So from at 11 p.m., it's going to be a curfew until tomorrow, I guess June 1st. And she also activated the DC National Guard to support the Metropolitan Police. So I guess this is like super serious now. Like Craig was saying,
it was super serious last night. You could see, what was going on last night. It was super serious last night too. But go ahead, man. I ain't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's just that I'm kind of like falling in the lines where like Craig is talking about, more like it's starting to take on a new form because you see more whites like rioting and busting windows than we're seeing African Americans do, protesting, and it seems like it's trying to get away from the narrative of what the cops are like the cops we have seen done to Floyd. So on my end, I just hope that we don't get lost, the subject don't get lost of what has happened to Floyd and the young man that was down in Florida.
Well, and I think that's where everything started off with Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, that's senseless. He was jogging. They ran him down. They killed him. They thought he was, I guess, robbing a construction site, one of the houses that was being worked on, and they took it in their own hands. I guess he was a former police officer within somewhere in Georgia. What was that? Was that Bristol, Georgia? I think that's where it was at. But nevertheless, the city prosecutor actually was trying not to get him charged with anything. The man that killed Ahmaud Arbery. And, when you stack that up, when that happens, you have unrest. They tried to sweep it under the rug. It happened back in February. It didn't make national news until it just kept on. People just kept plugging it on social media over and over again. Then it got
video.
Its speed.
The video. Right, once the video came up.
Yeah, well, there you go. The video made it spark. I mean, but at the end of the day, when you see that video of George Floyd, you see him and he's calling for his mother and he's telling you that he can't breathe. And you see the officer's face and like they're just ignoring it. I mean, the dude was handcuffed and 4 officers around him. I mean, what more?
It's just like I was talking to a certified nurse and she was saying, like, when the cops were saying, if you could talk, you could breathe. She said, because actually it wasn't really on his windpipe. It was cutting off his blood circulation. So that's why he was talking about his stomach was hurting and all the other nature, because what the police was doing was cutting off his blood circulation. So his brain was like really getting cut off from the blood circulation. So it was just sending out shock waves, for him. So that's the part that, that a lot of people don't know about. Just like just to change like a little bit of the subject, is like right now we need someone like a real president to step up, a real spokesman to step up and say, hey, you guys need to stop, and really prosecute these guys, these 4 cops that had pretty much murdered this young man. Because at the end of the day, if you've seen a new video footage of it, he was already in the truck. They pulled him out the truck and then started doing what they did.
But you talk about the president, if you correct me if I'm wrong, the district attorney is appointed by the executive chief, which is the governor, correct?
Right, correct.
So, I mean, you talk about, it's more so what we've been preaching forever. It's not just the primaries we should vote in. It should be local government as well. So,
yeah.
If you got a district attorney in your area that is not, they're trying to sweep things under the rug, then you got to make a strong effort to get them out of office.
Yeah, but see, when I'm talking about the president, I'm talking about him stroking the fire. Yeah. More than trying to put out. I don't want everybody to get that misconstrued.
But that's just him. That's him talking to his base as he always does.
Right.
So
it all comes back to we all need to vote. That's the bottom line. That's the most important thing that we need to take from this. We can't make change. We can't ask for change if we don't vote for our local, and we just have to vote. We have to make the change. It's nothing happening. Nothing's going to change until some of these cops get prosecuted. If they think it's nothing going to happen to them, the only thing that's going to happen is they losing their jobs. Right. And then if you think after a while, they probably get another job doing something else.
No, not probably. Some of them have left and got police officer jobs in other states.
In other counties. It's nothing happening. That's just like you got a child. If you keep talking to them, if you don't beat their ass, they're not going to change or stop or prevent and stop getting in trouble. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
And with something like this, I'm sorry, Glenn, just real quick. It's so much. Al, you brought up the president, which is we do need a president to be supportive, but it's also the big businesses. If you notice, every big business has some kind of something they've come out they've launched something out just to say that they're in support of the movement. But the problem is 3 months from now, 6 months from now, when things die down, we're not holding those big businesses accountable. So if Target is saying that they're with us, or I was looking at something today, as soon as I clicked it on, it had like a racism and with a red line in it. Like, we need to hold those companies accountable. And real quick, to me, the next step is that shouldn't be lost. The next step is figuring out a way to where, okay, we're not going to protest. We're not getting anywhere protesting. We're not getting anywhere burning down the city. So, okay, let's get our dollars together and don't spend our dollars in some of these places that's not supporting us.
Yeah,
or say they are.
What my whole point is you talking about Target, and I saw they burned down the store. Target wasn't the one that killed this man. Target didn't kill this man. This was a person. This was a corrupt or bad officer in Minnesota or Minneapolis that did this. Not Target.
I'm not talking about burning. I'm not talking about burning. That's a whole different subject. I'm not talking about burning.
But I'm saying you talking about big businesses supposed to be supporting us. They didn't do that to that man. And I think I think the energy and the focus is going in the wrong direction by going and hitting these stores that had nothing to do with what this police. Now, if you got a problem with the police, they went and they burned down the precinct. That's one thing. But these big businesses don't. How did they come into the fold? What made them the target?
And I don't even know why that's even discussed and stuff.
Okay, I'm not talking. Okay, let me be clear. I'm not talking about big business as far as burning their business down. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about these. Okay, Keith, these big businesses. How many black employees are they housing as employees?
Regardless of that, how many businesses had their knee on that man's neck?
So let me ask you this: what was your stance on Kaepernick? What was your stance on the NFL side? Like, do you think the NFL should have blackballed Kaepernick, or do you think as an employee, they should have
What
supported.
are we talking about? It's just
Yeah, it's kind of gone. It's kind of gone left. What I was saying was
not going left. I'm more so. My brain thinks like steps ahead. Like I'm not talking about right now. I'm not talking about what's happening right now. I get it.
But how can you not talk about right now when they looting in every major metropolis in the country? How can you stop ahead? And I think that's the problem.
Hold on. We just sitting here talking about. I thought we were having a general conversation on what happened, right? And what has happened. This is not the first time it's happened. So we can't just like not look forward, because how can we just look at just today? How do we, so if we're gonna look at just today, so we're just gonna talk about what happened to George Floyd, which was horrible. We're just gonna talk about it. We're gonna send stuff out on social media. We're gonna make some T-shirts. What are we? Is it too soon to talk about? Well, how can we stop it from going forward, or help we may need from other people going forward?
Now, trust me, I'm not saying I'm not defending.
I'm not defending
any of that. But what I'm saying is, I think our energy needs to be directed to the right place. If I got a problem with you, and this is no different than if we were in the street. If you did something to me, I'm coming to you. I'm not trying to hit no innocent bystanders and everybody around me. I'm coming at you who did something directly to me.
Okay, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Businesses.
When you say you're gonna,
nobody in a red shirt had their knee on that man's neck.
Okay, so what are you gonna do to the police? When you say you're coming to you, what are you gonna do?
That's how the precinct got burned down. I don't have a plan. I'm not out rioting. I'm not.
Can you introduce our guest?
Directed.
Hey, since you talking,
yeah.
My man Clay Farmer is here. Captain Clay Farmer. Late as hell, but he here though.
Thanks for coming, man.
That's CP time, bro. So I'm right on time, actually.
We know all about it.
All right, so Clay, man, you being African American police officer, man. Let's go right to the video, man. You saw the video. You saw what happened. His knee was on George Floyd's neck, man. Give me your perspective as a police officer. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Bro, that was 100,000% bullshit, man. Like that should never ever happen under any circumstances, man. And I fought all 4 of those police officers, man, because think about this. Had one of those officers, man, just one, said, dude, get the fuck off him, or push them off, will we be here today? Actually, that dude would probably be hailed as a hero. Like, damn, for real, they stepping up. Stepping up on one of their own. Like, this is what we need to see.
Right.
Yeah, that could never happen on my watch. Had I been there, like, real talk, like, I probably would have punched him in his face. Like, and he would have got off of him.
And Clay, let me ask you this
question for you, man.
Clay, let me ask you a quick question. How does the DA see what everybody saw, and it takes them 4 to 5 days to come up with charges? I heard in one of the riots or one of the protests they were doing that some woman threw a Molotov cocktail at a police officer, and within an hour she was charged with attempted murder. There was no witnesses, no nothing. How did it take 4 days for them to come back and say, all right, this is a murder charge? That's what blows me.
So, you know, I've been in this game 20 years, bro, and even being on this side now, I mean, I'm still a police officer, but I also work with the prosecuting attorney's office here in St. Louis. So I can't say 100% what took them so long. I can't say it was on them though. It was on them. Sometimes I know when you're dealing with a high profile case like this, when you're dealing with a police officer, it's my assumption that you would want to get this right. You know what I'm saying? You want to get this absolutely 100% right. I think in this case, what they were trying to do was wait for the autopsy report, because a lot of times that changes how you charge them and what you're going to charge them with. You know what I mean? So once they got those findings, then they went ahead and charged them with the murder third.
All right, this is the Wildcats Podcast. We're hanging out with my man Clay Farmer, police officer for over 20 years, St. Louis prosecuting attorney's office. He works there now. He's still a cop, and he's out of St. Louis, Missouri. He's been a part of the Ferguson riots, everything that went on with Mike Brown, something that shook the whole community, and we're right back here with George Floyd. But go ahead, Keith, you got a question?
My question was just so that, you know, I know that there's everybody, it's not, you know, they talk about that one bad apple in there, and you guys still have to go to work every day. And you kind of look at this guy after seeing, you know, what was done, and you saw all the evidence and all of that. How was it going into the office or going into the precinct and looking that dude in the face, knowing that that could have been you out of uniform? You know, it could have been any of the black officers that are there. How are you guys, you know, able to go to work every day and still look at this guy and kind of know that a disservice is being done by him only being charged with third degree with all the evidence that you have right there in your face that everybody could see? How is that as far as, you know, maintaining your morale or even wanting to kind of still be able to serve the public that way?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you, man, it's extremely tough. But the problem is officers like that ain't his first time doing it.
Right.
So the guys in the locker room already know how he is. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of guys, if that is the case, they shy away. The good ones shy away from it. They like, we don't want no parts of that dude. They'll be like, hey, Sarge, can you switch me to another platoon? Whatever the case may be, they won't back him up. You know what I'm saying? He's pretty much on the island. But it's extremely tough, man. But I will tell you this, just to your point of the charging part, because I've been inundated with people asking me about that. Why wasn't he charged with murder first? Blah, 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 blah. And it's to be understood, man. All of this anger, all of this rage is totally understood, man. It's coming from a place of pain for years, man, and experience of people getting thrown out their cars, people getting shot for no reason. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you get ready to charge, and you have to take emotion out of it. You know what I mean? So you have to go in gun blazing with what you can prove, because a lot of people watch TV and Law and Order and Chicago PD or whatever the case may be. But even in those shows, they say it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So even, I'll just give an example for this murder first. It would be impossible, man, to charge this dude with murder first. I think he should be charged with murder first. A lot of people should, but it will never stick in the court of law because, man, we have to prove that when he got out of the car, he intended to go kill that man. And that is hard to prove because all he has to do is say, I didn't get out of the car to go kill him. How can you prove I wanted to kill him for first degree? You see, so if you go in there and you charge him with first degree to appease everybody and it gets thrown out, you can't charge him again. He can't be tried again. You know what I'm saying? And then he can, matter of fact, they can say, okay, you're not guilty. He can stand up and say, yep, I lied. I wanted to kill him, and you can't try him again. Opposed to going in there with gun blazers with something that can stick and that you can argue for.
Hey, but like they do so many times, I know they could found something to try to charge them with, and then later on add additional charges to it. Why was that?
But you can still add charges. So like just because they charge him with murder third, if they do the investigation, he says something, whatever the case may be, you can always up the charges. That doesn't mean just because they charge him murder third, that's going to be the it all be all.
All right, it's a Wildcats podcast. We're hanging out with Captain Clay Farmer out of St. Louis, Missouri. Man, so we talk about these. We go third degree, second degree, first degree. Say prove that he wanted, when he pulled him out the car, he wanted to murder the guy. So I mean, I don't know anything about the courts, and Law and Order. I watch that, whatever. But Clay, I mean, damn, you got 5 minutes of film. I mean, it's like, and you see the man, we watch him die. So at what point does that point say, okay, I didn't intend to kill him when I put him out the car, but after I got him out the car, he was on the ground in handcuffs. That's when I knew that he was going to die. Come on now.
Right.
I'm blowing
dude, I'm with you. I'm with you 100 grand. But if you look at the charge of first degree, it involves premeditation.
Hey, can you break down all three real quick?
That's where the difference comes in. So, like for instance, if like a guy kills his wife or whatever, for example, he can say, "Well, I didn't intend to kill my wife," but then during the investigation, we got where you went and bought the duct tape, you went and bought the shovel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You cleaned out the bank accounts. These are premeditations to that crime, opposed to you going to the gas station and somebody say something to you and y'all get into it and you push him and he falls back and hit his head and die. Well, you didn't mean to get out that car and to kill him, but in the midst of that commotion, he in fact died. So that's where the gray area is right there. So
that would be a second or third. That scenario.
Well, it depends. It depends on the state, because each state differs. So like in Missouri, that would be involuntary manslaughter. So it really depends on what state you're in.
So the situation where he was pulled out the car, they had him in handcuffs and they were kneeling on him. Reports are that it was roughly 9 minutes, but of the 9, it was like 2 minutes and 50 some seconds. It was no pulse. So
it was no pulse, or he was limp.
He was limp.
I thought it was no pulse. I thought I heard hurt.
He was limp. They never took a pulse. I mean, they didn't until they came pick him up.
No pulse. He'd have been dead with no pulse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought
they did say 2 minutes. He was dead.
I thought they said it was 2 minutes. He had no pulse, and he still remained on his knee. I mean, he still remained on his neck. Yeah, so the reason I'm wording it that way, because that sounds, correct me if I'm wrong, that just sounds like second degree to me. When you know he doesn't have a pulse, or you know it's weak, and the one officer they said, well, maybe we should put him on his side, and he says no, he's going to remain right here, and you know he's in distress or pulse is weak. That seems like secondary to me versus third.
Right. Yeah. The thing is again, we go back to the intent and the premeditation. Like, intent is hard too, because he can say again, I didn't intend to kill him. I was just trying to gain compliance, whatever the case may be. But as I read,
that's what I mean. If he's limp,
yeah.
I was just saying that's what I mean. If he's limp and you refuse to get up off of him, isn't that now going into intent? Not to,
it could be. It's a fine line, but can we prove that? That's the deal. Can we prove it? Because I agree with you 100%, but it's got to be something that we can prove that I intended to kill him. No.
All right, it's a Wildcats podcast. We're still hanging out with my man Clay Farmer. So I'm looking at this. It seems like that we're going to a scary place, a real scary place. Because I think even with a third degree charge, there's going to be more unrest. There's going to be more, it's going to be more rioting, more protesting. And I just think the people are not going to be satisfied with it. I mean, we can go back to St. Louis, man. I mean, the people are not going to be satisfied, and they're going to be out there. We're going to give some of these, and I said this to Keith, my man Keith, yesterday, man. We're going to give some of these people, these youngins that are just out there, the opportunistic ones that don't give a damn about Mike Brown, Ahmaud Arbery, or George Floyd. They don't give a damn. They just out there to score some shit. Them dudes, them the ones that really piss me off. But you can't separate the good from the bad most of the time, man. So
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
So I guess my question is, where do you see this going in the coming weeks? Where do you see us being at, man?
Well, for one, I see more charges coming for the other guys. As this investigation goes on, I think they will be charged. One thing that I was glad of when this happened, excuse me, That's not the Rona. I got allergies. Don't do this. But one thing that I did that gave me a little hope was that they jumped on it immediately, because most of the time when officers are involved in something like this, they're put on paid administrative leave while we investigate. But they came out the next day and said, "Y'all out of here, bro. Like, whatever's gonna happen after this." But they jumped right on it. So they gave me a little ray of hope. Like, okay, they're starting to get it, because that pisses people off a lot when they say, "Well, that's just a paid vacation. That's just a paid vacation." Well, it wasn't a paid vacation for them this time. They went ahead and they removed it from there. So in the coming weeks, I do see more charges coming. Um, it's just that some of these agitators, I wouldn't call them protesters, because real protesters don't do all the extra stuff that's being done. The agitators, no way to please them anyway, and so it really wouldn't matter, man. I mean, it's, you could charge them with first degree, you can charge them with fourth degree. Some people just ain't going to be happy with it, and they just want to come out here and they want to disrupt. And that's the part that I hate, because it takes focus off the legit
Message.
reason that we're in this space, right? Because now everybody's talking about the looting and shooting and all that stuff, and it's taken away from this untimely and unfortunate death that should not have happened. That man should have had his day in court for whatever he was charged with. He shouldn't have been executed right on the street like that.
But Clay, I got a quick question. But it was just a matter of time this officer was going to do something like this, because it seemed like he had 17 prior, cases like this. So it's like, how far along, or how long do you let this individual keep piling these? There's almost like a star on my helmet, like keep about, you know what I'm saying? I got a notch in my helmet, and it's like eventually something like this was going to happen, and it did happen.
Yep.
How can you let a cop do 17 prior and nothing happens?
Yeah, why is he
Yeah,
still
but the
on the
thing
street?
about it, on each one of those charges, he wasn't found, guilty of or anything. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, who is reviewing this stuff, man? Because as an individual citizen, if I keep seeing, like Derek says, a police officer has 17 charges over the course of 19 years, that means every year there's somebody charging. And this isn't arbitrary. Like who is on these boards, or who's making these decisions, like saying, all right, this guy goes, skate free or scot free without any charge. Like, that's the thing that kind of just burns me up. It's just like 17 times and not one time did they, did he get?
I'm gonna tell you, to me, and I, we all sports guys. I've seen you talk with each other, so we're all sports guys. And I use a sports analogy that the team takes on the characteristics of his coach. So if your coach gonna be a bully, your team gonna bullies. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I believe it starts at the top there. They accepted that culture. You know what I mean? So again, that's what I'm saying. That wasn't the first time this man has been involved in something. It was lead up to it until eventually something like this was going to happen. Like, for example, here in our department, damn it, we had what we call an early warning system. So even though he wasn't found guilty on some, we're going to have to go back and look, man, like, but he's still getting these damn complaints. Like, and what are we doing with him? How are we addressing them? Like, something has to happen. This should not be 17 and this man has a clean record. It's absolutely no way. So I blame the supervisors on that, because they are the ones that's pushing this through and turning a blind eye to this. And now they're in damage control to try to fix this, and it's too late.
That's what I think the leadership should have. They should gain some suspension or lose their job, because obviously they were allowing this to happen. 17 prior cases and nothing. This man, he's still on the street. That doesn't make sense to any normal human being.
Clay, you said that when you first came on that, when I asked you, how are you guys dealing with somebody like that in the locker room or in the precinct, and you saying that you stay away from them. So if the captain or the lieutenant or whoever sees that, okay, nobody wants to work with this guy and you got these 17 complaints, why is he still on the street? Why is he not doing desk duty, or why is he going to these minority neighborhoods where he's going to interact with the people that he's got all these complaints filed against him already?
And again, I blame the coach, because the guys can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a teammate. You can only do so much. Your coach is going to make the call. You can say, hey, coach, who's doing this, and this? So the coach going to do about it. Like, so some of the guys are just as frustrated as citizens sometimes because they voice these things like, man, this dude is foul. This dude is foul. Nothing's being done about it. So I know a lot of times when people say that they're lying and these officers don't speak up, but I can tell you, man, 100% that ain't true in every case because you got a lot of guys that speak up, man. But again, starts up here. If it goes up here and nothing happens, the guys like, damn, what can we really?
So when you say goes up here, what is the chain of command? Like, where do you think? Where is it stopping? Is it stopping at the chiefs? Is it stopping at the
supervisor level?
the commander? I don't know the hierarchy. Is it stopping at the DA, the mayor? Where is it stopping?
DA.
Well, it depends. It depends. It depends on what the complaint is. Most of the time, I'm gonna tell you, the chief probably won't even see him sometimes. Sometimes, depending on what it is, it'll go to the sergeant and then the lieutenant and maybe a captain. They may address it or not address it. But if they feel that it's really minute, it probably won't go no higher. But some of those things that he was accused of, it ain't no way the chief didn't know. Like when he shot that unarmed dude and got off, it's like it's no way
Wow.
he didn't know about that. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
again, man, you have to address issues, man. Small things turn into big things, bro. Like, and you have to address it. You do, or this is what you get.
And the chief, he reports to the mayor. Is that correct? Or no?
Well, it, yes, yes, yes.
All right. It's a Wildcats podcast. We're still hanging out with Captain Clay Farmer out of St. Louis, Missouri. And we're talking George Floyd and the unrest that's going on in all the United States of America. Let me ask you, how is it in St. Louis right now?
Man, last night was kind of rough in Ferguson. It could have been loud. I think, what we're seeing here is some of the protesters are getting mad at these groups that are coming from out of town and these opportunists that are coming in and trying to cause problem. Because that's what we saw last night in Ferguson. The crowd, they were peaceful. The chief and the officers were marching with them. They had a 9-minute kneel down with the officers. The chief brought them water. They were talking to them. And then they got on the bullhorn and said, hey, if y'all don't want to be here for the violent stuff, take y'all kids and go, because it's about to go down. And as soon as that, boom, off all the rocks and bottles and shooting and all that, and it was just ridiculous. That's the part that angers us so, because that's unnecessary. That's not protesting at all.
Hey, Clay, I have a question. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
So let's go back to like the Ferguson. I mean, you was on the side of the shield, and you understood the argument. So can you go through the side of a police officer who has empathy for what's going on, but still have to protect that line as a police officer? Can you give us a kind of an insight on that, or your mental? Because it can be tough for you. I know it can. You might have that therapy afterwards. Let me know.
Man, I can't explain to you how tough it is, man. Like, it is extremely tough. And me and Craig go way back, man. Like, I would just call station and give him a report from the street, like, what's going on out there. Like, but it's hard when your heart is in the right place, because I tell people when they try to say, well, you the police don't understand. Well, I wasn't born the police. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you was born black.
I ain't always right. I was black before I was police, so I had facts too. So I just kind of frustrated when we're out there and we're trying to talk to, even as officers, we like, fellas, we understand, but man, don't give these guys the opportunity to do this tonight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get it, just do it the right way. That's all we're asking. And then when we have to enforce, man, it really just breaks my heart, dude. And that's a big thing that you said. Like, a lot of officers, man, we seek therapy, man, because I've had a lot of officers come to me as a supervisor be like, Cap, I just need to talk to somebody, man, like, because it wears on you. Because again, you're black, you're trying to do it the right way. You've made out these kids jobs, you're doing so much in the community, then you have to turn around and enforce the law in this way. Like, and they have no outlet. So a lot of officers don't get that trauma addressed that they have. Even your day to day, bro. Like, you can go to work, man, and you have to respond to a domestic and break up something that's been worked for 10 years, right? And you're supposed to get it right every time, but you may have come to work after you argue with baby mama or your girlfriend, you know what I'm saying, or your wife, like just at the house, now I got them over here the same damn thing. But I got
This
to
could be
accept
me.
it. Like still go home to this one. Right. I still gotta go home to this one. You know what I'm saying? So I wish it more outlets out there for officers to address their trauma as well, because just like citizens go through trauma from dealing with officers, go through trauma. People shoot at us. I've been sad. I've been shot at, but I still have to turn it off when I deal with you, Keith, because you didn't have nothing to do with that. So I still have to address you as a man and as a citizen. You know what I'm saying?
And that's
And
that's
hard,
the
bro.
thing. That's the thing. It's hard because I know it's not an even playing field for us. And because I know if that was an African American cop that had, it wouldn't even had 17 cases. It would have been like 5 or 6. It'd have been gone. And that's the problem that us as African American look at, that we don't never have the opportunities to mess up. You know what I'm saying? It's 3 strikes and you're out. That's just the way it goes.
Right. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like we tell people, and when I talk to them, I'm like, bro, we have to get involved, man. I think sometimes us as black people, we can be reactive instead of proactive. Like we can wait for something to happen and then we want to get out here, let's go. But if we see an issue, man, or we think something is wrong, let's get involved before the powder keg blows up. You know what I'm saying? Like I would pray to the heavens, I am not a Donald Trump fan in no way, shape, form, or fashion. Like, no. But what I will give him credit for is that he wanted some change. He wanted to see the change that he wanted to see, and he got in the game. And look, and damn it, he won, and he's making the changes that he wanted to make. It's not the changes that we want to make, but it's making the changes that he wants to make. And we can do that same thing, but we have to get in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like I don't know if you guys know, but the guy I work for, the new prosecuting attorney, like the guy that didn't charge Mike Brown, McCullough, he was there 28 years. 28 years, dude. And so Wesley was like, man, I want to see these changes. I want to see these changes. I think I can beat them. That's in the game.
Hey, Clay, say that one more time, man. Your audio.
Even close. So
your audio
now we're making. Oh, sorry.
Wait, say that one more time. Your audio messed up.
I said that, like, even the guy that I work for now, the guy previous, Bob McCullough, was there that was there when the Mike Brown issue happened. And so Wesley, the prosecuting attorney now, was like, man, I could beat this dude, man. I want to change this. We want to change that. So we like, man, get it, let's go. And he ran. Right. Nobody thought he could win, and he beat the dude by 15 points. 15 points, bro. He been there 28 years.
That's what voting does.
That's what voting does.
That's what voting does.
Dude, now he has made some incredible changes, man. The low-level drug offenses, man. We getting people treatment instead of locking them up, man. Like it's been a whole. We've decreased the city jail population, dude, by like 30%, bro, in the first year. You know what I'm saying?
That's a business play. You know that's a business though. They don't want to decrease the population. That's the business for.
No, we ain't about that. Like
publicized, it's privatized. They want to make money off the prison.
Right. The people that need help, they get help, man. Like in St. Louis County, it's like they have like about 1.7 million people, like in their drug courts, man. I mean, in their programs, the drug programs. They only had 60 people in there, man, when we came into office. 60 in a county of 1.7 million people. But in the first year, man, it was over 600. We got 600 in there. You know what I mean? So that's huge, man. That's huge. So we gotta get in the game, vote, man, and get involved, and we can change a lot of things, bro.
Hey, Clay, I have a question for you.
I got a quick question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
There's this picture that kind of sticks out of my mind when Derek Chavis's house was surrounded by the police officers who had to protect his houses from protesters on the night of the killing, or a day or two after the killing. And they panned in on this one black officer. And I have two questions. First, in those type situations, is it voluntary generally for the officers to kind of go in and support all of the other officers? That's my first question. And my second question, we talked about, you talked about, how you kind of slide away and kind of step away from those perceived bad apples. But when you got a whole barrel of those apples that are bad, how is that life in that department? So I had two questions that was kind of clumped together, but that image stuck out in my head.
All right. So when you talk about the officer's house, are you talking about doing security, like being there to protect the house? Is that what you're talking about?
They formed a ring around his house to protect his house.
I can tell you that ain't volunteer. Like,
okay,
because it would be hard pressed for you to say, I want to be out there knowing what could happen voluntarily.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Nah,
Right.
that was an order. So that's another hard part. A lot of times we don't want to do certain things, but you know, if they give us a lawful order, then we pretty much have to follow it or just quit.
Right.
They can't make us do anything unethical or illegal. We can deny that, but if it's legal within our job scope, then yes, we have to do it. Yeah. And second to your question, your second question, man. Again, it's hard, man. It's frustrating and it's hard. But man, I'm telling you, those guys are usually on an island, and if they're not on the island, they run in packs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So these guys be like, we stand away from them. I'm telling you, man, it's not as all giddy as a lot of people think. A lot of people think it is, man. Like, it is not. It's like some policemen can treat other policemen just as, worse than people on the street.
Yeah.
I promise you, bro. Like, I promise you that.
Like,
it's
Clay, in Craig's bio, he said you also have some experience as being a training officer. And my question to you is, like, a lot of times is some of these senseless killings, my impression of the police officers, a lot of times they're scared out their ass. They're so terrified, and that's reason somehow it escalates so far. So what do you do as a trainer? What is your opinion on that? Do you agree with that? Or I mean again, like I can't even count how many times, but a lot of times, like even like this shooting this time last year in Minneapolis, when the guy he said, I have a gun on the counter, and he put it on the bushcom. He didn't reach for the gun, and he started unloaded. That officer was terrified. Obviously, you see videos of like people say, "Hey, you're trembling. Why are you trembling so much?" And then they pull the gun out. These cops. What is your opinion towards that? And do we need to have some kind of psych evaluation? If they can't handle the stress, they should not be doing that job.
I agree with you. This job is not for everybody. But one thing that I will say is that, like, a lot of people preach training. We need to be trained. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 hours a week of training. You can never take the human aspect out of this job. You know what I'm saying? Like, it hit the fan. Like, my first fight taught me all these straight arm bar, takedown, step to the side, like, you know what I'm saying? But the first time dude hit me in my face, bro,
everything went out the window, right?
Man, that went straight out, man. I was like, oh no, we finna get
it. Right. Instant takeaway.
Instant, bro. Like, right. Oh no, you finna get these hands. You finna get these hands. So I mean, but now I'm like, we got to do it this way. We got to do it that way, and that's what we instill. But again, that's why I talked about that trauma piece. So it's several things that go into that. Some guys are, I don't like to say the word scary, but they aren't accustomed to being around certain people and in certain areas, and so they go by what they hear or they go by what they see.
Oh no, and scary is the word.
He don't want to say it.
I'm talking about.
He don't want to say that.
In some instances.
Scary is the word.
But listen. But and this is why I use scary lightly, because there's situations, man, where we've been in a building with some shooters, and I've been scared. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, still did my job. Right. But I'm like, bro, like, I don't know where these cats are with these ARs in this building. Like, yeah. So again, my heart beating on my chest, and I'm scared, but I'm still on my job. So it's kind of, I don't like throwing it around all the time. But you have some guys that are kind of scared because of some of the experiences they had or what they think or what they see. So as a trainer, I kept it. You have to keep it with them, man, and say, listen, this is what it is. Black people really made. We like to talk with our hands. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that doesn't mean
exactly.
that don't mean they want to fight you, bro. This is what they thought. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
and
saying?
see, you get a
But
lot of
that's the
people.
part you got to educate them on. That, but that, I mean, that's a
We
true
do.
statement because we do
We
like to
do.
talk with our
We
hands, and we
do.
get excited.
We do.
We
Right.
get all up in your face.
Right. Yeah. I swear to God, I'll kill everybody in here, bro. I swear to God, be like, man, no, you're not, bro. Come on, man. Come on over, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we may stop some white people from another area, and they'll get our car and walk up. Hey, what's going on? And we like, hey, man. Like, that ain't what we do over here.
You see his eyes big though. He on something though.
Whoa, right. Whoa. So, man, but and it goes back to your coaching, man. So good trainers are going to be 100 with their guys. They're going to help them in every single way. We had a guy, man, Officer Howard, man, this my guy, white guy, had never been around black people when he got to college, right? So I had pleasure, I'm gonna say, of training this guy, man, right? And we talk, and this is predominantly black community, right? So one Sunday, I came in my office to get something out of my office. I was off. Heller, he had a suit on and a cowboy hat. He was a real country dude. I said, man, what are you doing? I didn't even know every Sunday he was off, he would bring his van and he took a group of kids from the neighborhood to his church out in the white area where he lived. And he didn't say nothing to nobody. That was just something that he did, and that was his way of bridging that gap and getting to know the community. I applaud him for that, man. He didn't have to. You know what I'm saying?
He did the mental work. He did the mental work.
But
Exactly.
but they can respect him for that because he's communicating and reaching
Right.
back, and they can understand that. But
Right.
and that's what I think some of the white Caucasian cops. I mean, they should just talk to these young men. You know what I mean? We are individuals that we will respect you if you communicate with us, you be real with us. Then anything else. That's all we asking for.
That's all. And I told him, man, you have to be real with these people, man.
Yeah.
You don't lie to them. Like, because I tell guys in a minute, listen, brother, if I'm tell you going home, going home. If I tell you going to jail, you going to jail. But I ain't going to lie to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they have to respect me for that. And I think that makes it easier if they come in contact with another officer. I've helped you out, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
So,
I just want respect, man.
It's a Wildcat podcast. We're still hanging out with my man Clay Farmer. Before we wrap things up, Al, you got a question?
Yes, Officer Clay. I wanted to ask you, if for Minnesota or Minneapolis, Minnesota, what would you, if you had a chance to be like, let's say, overseeing the whole situation, how would you break it down to your officers at this point in the game?
Man, I would tell them, first of all, if any one of you guys, I would call them in a big ass room, like everybody, if we got to sit on each other's lap, everybody's going to be in the same room, bro. And I would tell them, if anybody has a problem, don't see a problem with what this officer did, turn in your shit right now. Like, we going to start that. Like, because if you don't see this as an issue, I don't want you on this police department. Like, period.
Facts.
Then I will go to, listen, all the guys that are doing it the right way, don't let this deter you. And as hard as it may be, because these citizens actually are depending on you, man, and they need you because we have other things going on. Don't let that stop that you are doing in this community. I mean, I know it's hard. I know it is, but we gotta lean on each other because times don't last. Tough people, so we're gonna keep policing with professionalism. We're gonna keep policing with integrity, and we continue to be transparent and the people that ride with us, we're gonna ride, man, and try to turn things out.
All right.
Let me add, I got a couple quick questions, Craig. Captain, what advice? Well,
Yes,
you know what? Let me ask the first question first. Is how you get pulled over for speeding or traffic violation, and you see these videos and you hear people asking for a supervisor, and the officer will get on the radio. He'll stop what he's doing, get on the radio, and call for the supervisor. Can you? This might be a dumb question. Can you do that if you're getting arrested? Like if you're like, could George Floyd had said, "I need you guys to get a supervisor out here because I'm in distress, or you know, I need a supervisor." Could he have made that request getting arrested, or how does that work?
He can make it.
Man, you can listen, everybody listen, tune in, listen, turn your radios up. You can absolutely call for a supervisor. Absolutely 1000%. You have every right to have a supervisor called to that scene. Period.
The reason why I asked is because I don't know, I could be wrong. Every supervisor is not going to be the same, but I feel like my gut would be once the supervisor shows up, he's not going to have that white shirt with those 20 cameras facing on the facing at him from the sidewalk, letting this man sit on his neck like that, standing there as the boss. I would think that he would be like, this got to stop right now. So that's why I'm just wondering, like, if that's something that
any real supervisor absolutely would have done that. Can I share a story real quick, Craig?
Sure.
Go right here.
So, and I say that because, so one night I was driving, it was like 1 a.m, and I was going to a friend's house. Don't ask me who it was, don't worry about that. I was going to a friend's house, right? And so I'm on the highway and I get flagged. And I was just right at the off ramp where I was going anyway. So I pulled off the off ramp immediately and I pulled over because I didn't want to stop on the highway. So the officer comes up, it was a white guy, and he's like, "Give me your effing license and your effing insurance," right? And I was like, "Excuse me?" He was like, "Give me your effing license and effing insurance." So I didn't raise my voice or nothing. Like I said, well, "I'm sorry, sir. I don't know if you have kids, but if you do, I'm not one of them." Like, so can we start over? Like, can we start this from the beginning? He's like, "No, we ain't start nothing from the goddamn beginning." So I gave him my license and I gave him my insurance, right? So then he tells me, "So where's the effing dope at? Where's the effing dope?" I'm like, "The dope?" So he's calling more cars. He's calling for more cars. He doesn't know that I know he's calling for more cars. But still, I kept my cool, right? So more cars pull up. So he tells me, "Get out the effing car because I'm going to tear this car up. The dog, get out the car." And so the other officers were shining the light in my face. They're like, "Look in the light, black boy. Look in the light, black boy." I'm like, "Okay." So he gets me out the car, put me up against it. They start searching me. And then he felt my pistol, right? Mm-hmm. So now everybody's got their guns out. "Oh, he's got a gun. He's got a gun." So I was like, "Well, I'm a smart ass, but I ain't a dumb ass. So I'm gonna be cool right now." So let me stop. So they put me on the ground, put the knee in the back, cuffed me, all that, put the knee in the head, took my pistol out, slid it across the ground. And so everybody's circled up around me. And so then he pulls my wallet out. And so when he pulled my wallet out, he's going through it. And then he's like, "Oh, you should have saw their face, bro." Oh,
yeah,
it was
exactly.
Yeah, like the Southwest commercial. Want to get away? Pew, and they just start taking off.
See, everybody laughing. I'll be honest with you.
But that's
everybody
up.
Laughing. But that shit is not. That shit is not funny.
Because he started at you were not speeding or nothing, and he just immediately came up. You was like right in, just all 100 off the brake.
Right. But my point is, I was laying there on my stomach, right? And he's like, "Oh, let's talk about." I said, "No, what you need to do is get me your supervisor. Like, that's all I want to do. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to talk to your supervisor." So he's like, "Well, let me take the cuffs off." I said, No. Because if you take these cuffs off, I guarantee you ain't going to be able to put them back on for what I'm going to do to you, bro. Like, I promise you, just leave me there. So long story short, the supervisor came, the lieutenant, and the chief all got involved. He got fired. I mean, gun. You know what I'm saying? But the supervisor you have every right to call a supervisor there. And officers hate plaints, man. Like, so yeah, don't let them be the judge and jury right there, man. So I get it. I've experienced it just like a regular citizen.
Hey, Craig, before you end the show, I wanted to let y'all know that some breaking news just happened. The governor of Minnesota just turned an investigation over murder of George Floyd over to Attorney General Keith Ellison. the local leaders have lost confidence in Mike Freeman. So right now, everything is pretty much taken out of the hands of Mike Freeman.
Wow.
That's good.
Go some Wildcats podcast, man. Clay Farmer, Captain Clay Farmer, man. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I knew this dude before he became a cop. You know, and I think he was the star over the pink slip. Y'all Google that. Y'all know what that is in St. Louis. He was a headliner at the and,
Level, bro.
I'm gonna tell y'all this was my dude, man. And I knew when he told me he was going to be a cop, I was like, this dude right here is a fool, but he gonna be all right for the community because he's a good dude, man. He's just straight up a good dude. Him and his Flirt. He had a best friend named Flirt at that time too, y'all. Y'all pick that.
Dude named Flirt.
But man, I want to salute you, man, because it's cats like you that's out in this for real. And man, your job is, man, you got the hardest job.
Hard.
Man, I salute you, man, and I appreciate you joining us, taking the time, because shit's crazy right now. Just crazy. We
No
got,
doubt. Hey, Craig, thanks.
We got to vote. We got to make a change. And once again, man, I appreciate it, man. For all the St. Louis family, I appreciate y'all for checking us out as well. Clay, thanks again. Y'all give it up one time for Captain
Be
Clay.
safe, Clay.
Thanks,
Be safe out there. Be safe out there.
Hey, Craig, one last thing, man. One last thing, bro. First of all, I appreciate all you guys, man. Y'all stay safe and careful. Jordan is the GOAT.
Oh
Yes,
my
God.
Come on, Clay. He was my favorite until then, man.
Listen. Jordan is my real dad, and I swear to God, I've never free-cased anybody in my life. But if y'all say something bad about Jordan, I will see to it. Some way y'all are prosecuted.
It's only two people on here you got to worry about.
No, I agree. He's the GOAT. I'm one. He's the GOAT. Yes, he's the GOAT. But he's a bitch GOAT. He's the bitch GOAT.
You going to jail, bro. Hey, thank you guys, man. Y'all be careful. Craig, appreciate you, man. Man, y'all guys doing big things, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Coming, man. Have you back.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right. So real quick, y'all, we're gonna hit off these FIUU candidates of the week. We're gonna do one and have an honorable mention. We're gonna go with the guy with the bow and arrow that was at the trying to shoot people with the bow and arrow, and they jumped his ass and beat his ass, and I think he went to the cops and lied about. So what he lied about? Keith, help me out.
He lied on the news. He lied on like CNN.
Okay.
He went to CNN and said two African Americans did this to me. He got jumped by about.
Why they always blaming it on us, man? They always blaming it on us. God,
look, him and his car got jumped by about 25 people. It was like 17 white people and like 10 black people, and they all
No. He was right. It was 2 Afro-Americans, but it was like 27 white people beating him up.
Hey,
his car.
He thought it was Walking Dead. He thought his name was Durham.
His dumb ass gets out with the bow and arrow though.
Look. He had one arrow.
What about 26 people?
All you heard was people saying, "Get his ass! Get his ass!"
Man. All right, so he is the FIUU candidate of the week. We got an honorable mention. We got to shout out them guys that stole the train from the Mall of
Oh, why? They stole Thomas. They stole Thomas' train.
Down the street. Driving down the middle of the street. Crazy.
So that there you have it. Their paperwork has been processed. We're putting them into what class we giving them? It doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
That's scholarship archery.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they general studies.
General studies.
Them niggas, they ain't going to school anyway.
They undecided. Yeah, they undecided.
They're in archery. One of them is.
All right. So
engineering
candidates of the week. We got some major news out of Washington, D.C. They have a curfew in D.C. at 11 p.m. You must be in your house after 11 p.m. and that's in effect until sunrise. That's real.
They need it.
Real. It's going down all over the country, man. Y'all be safe out there. Also, I got a shout out one time to my dude. I gotta say rest in peace to one of my fallen friend, radio dude, man, who put on for the DMV. My man, Mr. 24/7. My man TR. My man Tony Reds, man.
Red.
Man, sad.
R.I.P.
Tutu. Condolences and prayers go out to his mother, his kids, and that's real. It is what it is, man. Life
Good
is short.
dude.
Make sure y'all live it to the fullest. And we appreciate y'all checking us out for the
Thank
Facebook people. Thank you. You can catch us all over the web. Just Google some Wildcats. You can download our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Just we're there. We're everywhere. All right. It's some Wildcats, and this show is being brought to you by once again by my drink of the night.
Man, hell no.
Beijing.
Hey, hey, Glenn, why your 80 alligator so big, man?
That's where they come now, man. You an old dude, man. That's where they come nowadays.
Look,
That's where they come.
He got the big alligator. I mean, the big polo. Everything big now. For people like me that gotta wear that glass.
Jordan can wear these big ass jumps.
Your old ass don't know. That's where they come nowadays, man.
I got more money. I wear other stuff.
Yeah, you do. You win that one. Shalom,
Really?
you win that one.
Big bite take little bite.
Hey, hey.
Wow.
That's how you win an argument, but really?
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Bagley on this broadcast. He was
Wow.
Hey, thanks for checking us out. Well, we did it. We good. So we just talking shit now, you know.
Hey, and for the
Right,
record,
you gotta
guys,
stop the.
They said
live
about
or the
keep
recording.
Polo big too. They said about that.
He just said
I
it.
was
He said it.
I was gonna get to that, but they jumped on it too.
Yeah, Anthony said it.
say what?
About the polo, but the
That
horse
keep
on the polo being big.
too.
Hey, Jordan just came out with a statement, Craig.
Jordan.
Yeah. About the whole, you know, the whole thing and stuff going on.
Oh, Jordan finally made a statement about what's going on.
Yeah, he heard Craig say all I need him to do is say something one time.
There you
Yeah,
go.
one
There
time,
you
nigga.
go,
Go,
Black.
Craig.
There you
He
go,
did it
Black.
for you, man. You can't complain.
He did it for the bush. If Craig Black don't get a haircut, this will never end.
Shit ain't gonna never end because I ain't going no way. My man Sean, I got love for you, man, but I'm going just like this, man.
Man, you got the widow's peak coming
I
in
ain't know he
everything.
had Widow's Peak.
Yeah, the widow's peak coming in everything.
Man. I'm trying to hold out. I think I'm gonna cut to next week, man. So I can't keep holding
Look, you
out,
running
man.
out of hats over there.
I know. I'm pulling out all cash.
Hey, Anthony, can you tell us what the hell Jordan said?
You want me to read the whole thing?
Oh, well, fine, see?
Okay, it says, I am deeply sad and truly pained and plain angry. I see and feel everyone's pain, outrage, and frustration. I stand with those who are calling out the ingrained racism and violence towards people of color in our country. We've had enough. Fuck Craig Shields. I don't have the answer. Collective voices shall be blah, 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 blah. Craig Shields, Craig Black, or whatever the fuck he calls himself nowadays, is a son of a bitch, and he can burn in hell. Michael Jordan.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Craig. Why
Then he
now?
said, P.S. the 13s will be out next week. P.S. the 13s will be out next week.
Hey, look, Keith, I bought the ones. I ain't never had the ones. I bought them myself.
I got some ones.
I got some ones.
I never
got
bought
two
no
pair
ones.
ones.
I just
But
bought
look,
a pair of ones.
I also saw
Craig.
how his feet was bleeding in that game up in the
I ain't wearing
Hey,
nothing like that.
I had the ones back in 7th grade.
Hey, Craig, I'm with you, Craig.
MJ
MJ is the GOAT. I don't like Michael Jordan, but MJ is the GOAT.
I won't give
Man, how you gonna say you don't like Michael Jordan? Why?
I've been saying for
Why you
years.
I ain't never like. I don't like Michael Jordan for the same reason. Craig don't like. Same reason.
Craig
But you be the same one to defend him when I say he need to do more in the community. That was you, Dave.
No, never that. Not in the community. Never. I don't even own a pair of Jordans, Glenn. Ever. Not one.
I got a pair for you.
I got about, hey, I ain't gonna lie, I got about 10 pair.
You
I don't
win.
mess with Jordan like that. I was arguing with Craig.
Who you mess with, Dave?
What?
Craig was
Oh,
saying-
Melo
Dave,
wear
Dave.
Jordans.
Melo.
Dave, Melo wear Jordans.
Well,
Melo wear Jordans.
First of all, Melo
Hey,
wears
Melo brand.
Mellow.
Who's Melo brand? What is Melo brand?
Mellow wears Mellow,
My
Melo
young
wears
man
Melo.
is Jordan.
but they are mellow. All right.
Hold on. This shit was fucking real. I thought it was Andrew fucking joking.
Yeah, he said all that shit about fuck Craig Black.
Yeah, fuck Craig Black. And P.S. the 32s will be out next week.
Oh man, come on now. We know he making statements now. This pisses me off even more. He only making statements right now.
Hold on. So now you mad because he didn't make a statement. Now you mad because he made a statement.
Yeah, because
damn, nigga, he can't win for nothing.
You just like what he was just talking about. You can't please.
Hey man, fuck that, man.
You can't please.
Bring Clay back in here, man.
Jordan's doing the same thing that I was talking about earlier about the big businesses making sure that they say that they with you when before Anthony and Keith jumped in my shit because I like hit a
Dave,
trigger
ain't nobody
button.
know what the fuck he was talking about.
Dave, Dave, what I was talking about, Dave.
Hold on, people.
I heard
Shit,
you- I
the
knew he was going
scary
there.
is you sober talking stupid.
Nobody, y'all missed the fact that I started with the DA. I
All right,
started with the
Mud.
mayor. I started with everybody local. Talking about voting, right?
Okay,
Then when I
Mud.
said something about big business, all of a sudden, motherfuckers, that was a trigger word for both of y'all. How the fuck we get here? How the fuck we get here?
What got
Y'all
me
been
was
waiting.
the
Y'all
fact
been
that-
waiting to argue with somebody about that shit. Somebody on social media been saying it's been pissing y'all off, and y'all motherfuckers jumped in my shit. So
I ain't even been looking at social media. I ain't been following none of that shit. But what I'm saying is,
you and
this
Andy
shit
been
gotta
talking to
be.
each other then, because y'all motherfuckers was ready to jump on somebody.
No,
This nigga,
what I'm
there
saying,
you go,
what
super
I'm saying
sensitive.
is, what I was saying was
Anthony,
about.
you and Keith was sensitive. Shut the fuck
Look,
up.
it was
Super
about.
sensitive.
That ain't what Anthony talking about. What I was saying was that it was
Look, he get
about the
close to the
opportunity.
camera.
Yeah, motherfucker, so you can see me. So you can see me. Nah, but I'm talking about the opportunists as far as that shit is not. It's not what this is about. And so you got people out there that's just pulling shit that don't have. I
Still
can't
miss
hear
my
you, John.
point. You still missed my point.
All I heard.
Dave, that is the point. Could nobody
that was
understand what the
Dave's
fuck
point.
he was talking about?
I understood where you're coming from, Dave. I got you.
Trying to get braids again, huh?
I'm like, we talking about one thing and you talking about something totally different.
Hey, Glenn, Anthony is still stuck on. He heard me say big business and getting them involved in the fight with us.
No,
And
Slim, you
he
was all
how
over the
fuck we
place.
get here? How the fuck we get? He missed all the shit I talked about the DA. I mean, about the prosecutor, the DA. The questions I was asking the captain. I was asking.
Man, only thing I heard is you wanted to go to Target to get some mellows.
You gonna let me finish?
Had Kaepernick kneel out front.
Yeah, that's how he want to go to Target to get some mellows.
They need to get Kaepernick a job.
You just want to talk to hear yourself talk. I was talking about solutions, and you was telling me how can we get past what just happened. We can't mourn and strategize for the future at the same time.
No, that's all I was saying is that we need to strategize. We need to have a plan. That was my thing. We need to have a plan.
Directly to Anthony. Say we can't mourn and strategize.
Dave, you know it's only a 1 hour show, right?
All right, we done with you.
You know it's only 1 hour, right?
Shit, we in the after party right now. We on Dave after party.
Dave, your points probably be good.
Anthony, your points probably be good. Argument. I'm done talking about it. I know what I want.
But Dave, your points probably be good. It just take you so fucking long to get it out. I'm like,
yeah. Now you want to make jokes. So
talking
now
about going to Target with Kaepernick and buy some mellows.
But Dave, my whole point was just that I'm having a problem with the opportunists that's sprinkled in the middle of this because they're not helping the situation.
I agree with you 100%.
And Jordan is an opportunist. What are you talking about? He's making.
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the motherfuckers. I'm talking about the motherfuckers in the looting part right now. I'm talking about that.
I'm 1,000%
being opportunistic.
That's all I was getting at, Dave.
Can y'all let Dave talk? Please let Dave talk. Let Dave talk. Go ahead, Dave.
Wasn't an asshole when we had guests on.
Dave,
you want to be you want to be.
But that's what I was getting at, Dave. Is that we got to go
2
to.
hours on this month. We've been
I know. We got to go to the motherfuckers that we got the problem with. And you were saying how you gonna go at the police, but them niggas burnt down the police station. So if you got a problem with the police,
we found a sponsor yet. We found a liquor sponsor yet.
Keith, I
stopped looking because Craig had the Grandma Yang on him behind him. I thought he had it down. I'm talking about the Grandma Yang. Let's go for the big dogs.
we got 2 sponsors now.
All right, come on, please.
Hey, I need a bottle of that whiskey you talk about. I ain't seen it. I ain't tasted it nothing. The unofficial sponsor.
Please let Dave talk.
Why don't you send us a copy of your 3-page novel? Why don't you
Dave, you don't know, and I'm gonna say something. No.
He wrote that shit. He wrote that buoy.
You know that's so serious.
He wrote that buoy.
No, Dave. This is not a joke. But ask Kwashi. It's not a joke. She read it.
Oh, she read it. Nobody, none of us read it. What kind of shit is that?
That's not a joke. Ask Kwashi.
You don't remember shit. I know you started a novel. I know she read part of it. I don't.
So then what you talking about?
I said send it to us.
Alan Thompson.
Yeah.
Wildcat, what's up,
Anthony,
Alan Thompson?
You the same dude. You told us about the novel, and we said,
Right.
"What's in the novel?"
Hey,
you,
Craig,
we was like, "It's a novel. It's a novel."
Alan been on it.
You
Hey,
telling
Craig,
shit.
Man,
Alan
I've been on there for like 2 hours, dude.
Right,
Yeah, he was
exactly.
talking to himself.
Yeah.
He was talking to himself from the live video earlier this afternoon. He
Man,
made 5 comments back to back.
Man, people was on some Wildcats giving us questions and everything. I just happened to click over to that joint like, what the fuck?
Who supposed to monitor that, Craig?
I asked Craig that during the interview.
No, I'm on my watch party. Who's got some wild?
Yeah, when you see the with the watch party kind of takes over. That's all I can see.
Hold on.
Yeah, because you got.
So did somebody see me ask Craig? I said,
I thought Anthony supposed to be monitoring
we got the author on here. We got the author.
I think it was me.
Purple Fever. I was like,
yeah, it was supposed to be
somebody
it
getting
was,
questions for females.
You asked for female. I said no, not on my
Oh,
watch.
I'm
It
talking
wasn't
to
no
everybody else, Craig.
There was a female on there to ask questions.
I'm talking
Otherwise,
about everybody
I
else,
saw-
Craig. So y'all
I
didn't
saw
see me
female
ask
say,
Craig
hey.
that question?
Yeah, I saw it.
So why ain't nobody? So why
He answered you. He said no. You said did any females ask any questions? And he said
He's
no.
looking on his page.
Well, only thing when I looked out there when y'all first started asking about it, I saw Alan Thompson saying something on there about some publisher down in Raleigh, and I saw Richard Sullivan was on there, and he was just saying, "What's up, fellas?" But nobody was asking anything.
So who was supposed to be watching the podcast, the Wildcat?
That's Keith.
I
That's
just
Keith's
said that's where the
responsibility.
questions came from.
Keith,
That's
is that
Keith's
you, Keith?
responsibility. Yeah,
That's where the
that's
questions
Keith.
came from. Alan Thompson and Richard Sullivan. Those were the two that had comments while we was on there.
It was some young lady too. I saw her. I think that was later though.
You ain't asked that questions, Keith.
Yeah, that was it.
Morris was on my watch party. She said that she needed this laugh. What's up, Shannon?
Who?
Shannon.
On Craig watch party.
Shannon.
Bowie State, Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon.
Yeah.
Oh, Tasha was. Oh, remember Tasha Minor?
Tasha Minor.
Yeah, Tasha. She on Facebook. She was on the she was on the bike trail yesterday. Y'all had went past it so fast she didn't even see y'all. She saw my snow ass. She wanted to tell everybody what's up.
Oh, well, she was with that group. It was a group of them when we rolled past.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had a question too.
She was on there. She was on the podcast.
She just said, "What's up?"
She asked the
it was a
question when
group.
she rode past on the bike.
Yeah, it was a group of them. We shot past them.
Yeah, I forgot to tell y'all yesterday, so it just reminded me. She just want to tell everybody hi.
We was trying to get back like a mother.
Hey. All right, man. So
I see y'all, man.
This shit's real though, man. I ain't gonna lie. I've been hearing gunshots. I don't know if it's fireworks. I don't know what the fuck it is around here.
Around here too.
Yeah, keep your ass in the house. That's what it's saying.
It is real. Shit is
Man,
real.
the scary part about me, like I said, my whole apartment is windows. And you keep hearing shots out this joint.
But that's what everybody seemed to forgetting that we still got the coronavirus out here. That's the bad part.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Just running around.
They don't give a fuck.
We're in a perfect storm right now for just some sad shit right now. With all the shit that's going on, man, it's like you got the coronavirus, you got Trump as president, you got Ahmaud Arbery killing, you got the dude George Floyd.
The young lady.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them. Somebody showed it was like 493 cases, that murder cases of black people. I saw somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, look, I'm getting so many texts and videos and DMs of that shit, man. I'm like, look, I see it. Everybody see it. Stop sending me that shit. Like you get numb to it, and the more and more they come, and I'm like, man, just stop sending this shit. I know. I saw what you saw.
Carol Floyd just jumped inside the watch party as well. What's up, Carol?
What's up, Carol?
Hey, Carol, we saw the little fish you caught today. That was a little ass fish.
Did she cook it?
That was a little minnow.
Yeah, they're catching goldfish.
Hey, tell the rest of the clan we said what's up.
Yeah, tell her what's
up. All the Floyd clan, all of them.
The Floyds.
Yeah.
But
all right, guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the first dance, the last dance. Craig,
hey, Derek, did you see the meme? Did you see the meme with him in the Wizards jersey? And
No.
Talk about episode 11.
Episode 11.
Oh, wait, they want
Episode 11
look,
and 12.
they mad because they're not talking about 11. First, for real.
I saw that
Keith,
though.
Man,
Keith, did you see All Smoke with Richard Hamilton? That was a good one.
Yeah, I listened to that joint today.
Boy said, "Oh my God, I love my fish."
Yeah, I didn't realize.
She wasn't keeping him as a pet.
Hey, I ain't realized all of them played together back then, man, and all them AAU teams and all.
Yeah,
those,
I didn't know about him and Kobe.
all the years came in there together.
Him and Kobe was up in like a Pennsylvania area. Yeah, that was
Man,
interesting.
I was laughing when he was talking about his coach said, it's another dude down the road that's just as tall as you. His jump shot better than yours. His handle better than yours. It's like he's a little bit quicker than you, and he's 20 pounds heavier.
That's a coach right there.
Damn, coach.
That's an old school coach.
You see, they were talking about that Tim Thomas was the #1 player in the country. He was a bad boy.
He said that nigga Kobe wouldn't go to sleep. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna bust his ass."
He said he gave 50. He said he gave 50, and he became the #1 player in the country after that game. That's a killer right there. Kobe's a killer.
Kobe was on one early, man.
Yo,
yeah,
that's what they said. All of them said that from T-Mac. All of them when they knew him young. For real.
You know what?
Even when he was I totally forgot he was trying to do a rap album.
Yeah, he did it. Yep.
And they would say he was like that with
he was. He had Shaq had a song with Shaq.
Didn't he do some shit in Italian or something like that?
Something
crazy.
Yeah.
One of the songs was in Italian, or the whole record was in Italian.
I forgot all about that shit.
Yeah, man.
What I didn't know, and what kind of threw me for a loop, was I didn't know the relationship with his family wasn't as good as it was.
Because he got married young, and he didn't want prenup, none of that. They wasn't for that joint.
They didn't approve of
They didn't approve of it. They didn't approve of it. It was only like 6 months in. I mean, any of us would be like, "What you doing?"
Yeah.
It was 6 months in, Joe. He talking about marrying her. They worked out, but you know what I'm saying? Nobody, how can you really agree with that or on who you are? You in the league and this individual and you saying I'm gonna marry this person.
Yeah. You talking about as a parent? Derek?
Yeah, as a parent.
Yeah,
parent. That's his father.
And his father was an NBA player too.
But I would think over what? Well, that's 20 years. I would think they would have mentioned.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know how. But no, Kobe was still taking care of them, but they still was like living off of Kobe, and that's what they was like mad at him.
His parents actually tried to sell some of his
memorabilia, his high school stuff,
behind his back, and he found out about it, and that kind of severed sometimes. I never knew that. They kind of, I guess they was all on the West Coast and they was putting it out there, but I never knew he was, his family. He had.
I thought his family was still here on the East Coast in Philly.
Well, I mean, they were reporting all the news shit was going on in California when all this shit was happening with the family. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he was like, he had a problem with his sisters and father. Like,
because everybody was talking about it during the funeral at the Staples Center, and they was just saying, his family wasn't there, and they thought that his family should have been there.
Nah, they was there.
Or saying that they should have been focused on it or whatever.
They should have been acknowledged.
They didn't mention him at all.
That's what I mean.
The cameraman panned to him, but
he was there.
They didn't mention him at all. But they said Kobe personality, he was just a different type of dude, though.
He like Mike. Though. He just like
no. I mean personality wise, like he had like one friend. It was Pau Gasol because they, was from the Italy connection. Being overseas. Speaking different languages.
Dylan from St. Louis, Missouri. What's up, Buffy?
You know who his favorite player was, right?
Who's?
Kobe's. Growing up.
Mike.
It was what's the coach from Houston? He played overseas when Kobe was there.
From Houston.
Dan Tony. He was playing over Italy or somewhere, and that was Kobe's favorite player because remember he was living over Italy, and he was the man over in Italy playing basketball.
Yeah, wow.
That was his favorite player, wasn't that?
Well, fellas, I appreciate it.
Look, I got folks talking about y'all still on there, still there. Y'all still on there?
Why you got your mustache and half gray and half Just like
Nah, what's up with them goddamn sideburns?
I'm about to cut all this shit off.
It's all half gray and half black.
Hey,
Cut all this shit off.
Hey man, when he was on with Craig on the IG live, he turned to the side. I said, "What the fuck is that in his face?"
hey, Dave, look, somebody messed with him when we was riding the bike the other day. They was like, "Damn, and that joke finally connect."
That was me.
That was Glenn. Yeah, Glenn.
I'm about to cut all this shit off.
Oh my
This
god!
the most I ever had, man.
You look like a
I
Dalmatian.
never had this job.
But Derek, we seen you like be a little scruffy over the years. But I ain't never seen.
I tried.
I ain't never seen Anthony like that ever. I didn't know he could grow with it.
Look, you see, he keeps scratching that. He keeps scratching that.
Hey, look, hey, Black, did you hear what I told Joanne last night? I'm scratching my face. You be scratching down below.
Terrible.
That's why he's so goddamn grumpy on this Zoom call.
Like, she was. I was like, wow. You watching right now too. She gonna be.
Oh no, I seen some of the jokes Anthony was hitting her with it. She was looking at Anthony like, oh okay, oh okay.
So that go back to sitting on the bench around Highview. That's old school.
Fuck you, Anthony.
That's old school. That joke been going on for years. Sitting on the fence.
So what age did you start going at people and they just start saying fuck you, Anthony? Like when did you start? When did you start being an asshole? Because rest in peace, Donald. Donald said, you used to catch it, when y'all was kids, So
right, I would say middle school, Anthony. I would say
right, middle school. That's probably about
so
right.
Middle school, you turned into the asshole.
Yeah.
Lie, nigga. When we was in middle school, Anthony was a grown ass fucking man in middle school with them tight ass motherfucking sweatpants on every month. We out there.
You looking at my tight gray sweatpants, Craig?
We like this motherfucker. Anthony run the football like, nah, ain't nobody gonna try to tackle this nigga. Nah. You remember that shit? Anthony come through that.
Hey, next time you talk about his sweatpants, I need you to say pause or something.
No bullshit.
I know. I'm like, why is this nigga looking at my sweatpants?
Why the nigga was wearing extra small sweatpants? And
he knew that was gonna be in style in 2020.
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
Derek, your man came back with the estimate.
What are you talking about?
He talking about 4,800.
Really?
That's not bad for the concrete. That's for the concrete and everything.
Derek, you know the first one to say y'all gotta call each other over that bullshit.
What is that
Right.
for? What is that for? What is it
Get
for?
his phone number.
Yeah, we
It's
still on Facebook Live.
For the 1,500 for the concrete, 300 for the 300 for the wire, for the little wires, and this nigga said dirt 2,800. Oh, and remove all debris and dirt for 2,800. So basically, the 2,800 is his labor. It's gonna cost 2,000 to do it.
Just
Hey,
tell him what you want to do, fool.
Keith, kill alive.
No, we're gonna.
I don't have it.
Somebody take off live. Get off live.
What you doing? The patio, Dan?
No,
extending my basketball.
Stop the recording. Stop the recording.
It stopped.
Nah, the joke
still
recording.
recording.
For Craig to turn police to Sam.